Okay.
You guys ready?
I thought we started.
No.
Thing is that we're always talking in like our
Never stop talking.
No, but it's not just because if we just kind of lean into the microphone and kind of were casual like this, you would never think that we were doing show.
You can't talk casually into a microphone.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that like you're always you've got your broadcasting posture, your broadcasting voice, and everything sounds like show.
Well, you never know what hits.
So is this on or this is not? Have we started yet?
No.
Did Honest Abe make the show?
I don't think so.
Stugotz is always looking wherever we are in life. Stugotz is always
pigeonhole it in?
Stugotz is always looking for the windows of where can I arrive with slapping my hands together and being like, ta-da, I got the joke. All Stugotz cared about and asked about is, does my Honest Abe line get in?
Yeah. No.
You're onto me.
We can't put I bleeps with Francis Wars in the show. That'll never make the show. Obviously,
never. We're clearly not on air right now. These are not things that we would say publicly.
And I wouldn't gloat at Billy Corbin's expense and draw comparisons to what he tells me week in and week out.
So you were laughing as all of this happened because I was hurt on his behalf and hurt on behalf of our city because our city actually is in a run amok situation.
Joe Carroyo sucks. He sucks.
He's still hanging around?
He's terrible. Like, I have dear friends that were in a bar that his goons tried to shake up, even though everything was on the up and up because he tried to send a message. And that is like 30th on the unctuous, horrific, offensive things about that sack of shit, Joe Carroyo. But it was very obvious he was going to win in a landslide.
Shake down, not a shake up, right?
Yeah, shake down.
I don't know what a shake. I don't know what
confused. Depends how tall the person is.
Yeah, probably lift him up, shake him. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what Georgia's defensive line does to offensive linemen. Shake them up, throw them in the air, throw them at their quarterback.
Passing windows.
What a joke that Alabama's number 2. We'll get to that later.
Total joke.
Super. We'll talk about that once we start doing the show.
And where was Texas A&M? I mean,
that's what I'm asking.
Where was Florida? Where was
well,
Florida?
they've had a couple of bad losses since that really good loss to Alabama.
Let's get back to what you were saying, though, about all of us always being in broadcaster voice and none of us actually knowing when we're on the air or when we're not on the air. So I've seen this happen a lot to Stugotz recently, where Stugotz goes into extra character mode at times where we're clearly not on the air.
Right.
Because he's just trying to spray it all over the place. Just your philosophy is, right, I'm always on air.
Always on, Dan.
So you Whittingham, you're so right about this because any number of segments start with Billy just sort of whispering something into a microphone, and I think Billy's the best at this. You hardly ever know whether Billy is talking seriously or is on the show.
I still don't know if this is part of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not. This we would never air. We would never air this.
But Honest Abe is in.
Yeah.
It is so great to watch him. It's legitimately the only thing he cares about. Did my nickname, 20 years in,
important.
Did my nickname get in? But continue your thought, Mike. I interrupted you. You were saying you are taking the unpopular opinion of being on the side of Francis Suarez, who comes from a
No,
father.
that didn't make the show. Go ahead. Just start the show over, Dan. 3, 2, 1, Tyler Hero.
We had Whittingham talking into microphones.
If that does say in the show, by the way, I should apologize to Joe Carroyo. I called him a sack of shit. We have bleeped that.
You're apologizing to sacks of shit?
You can't do that, Mike. You can't apologize to someone you think is a sack of shit.
Did I ruin your joke, Mike? You were headed there? Well, we're not on air.
We're doing a bit here, Dan.
We can do it when we go on air. When we go on air, you can.
It was really going to, because I had the perfect setup. I'd like to apologize to sacks
I'm sorry. I ruined your joke, and I didn't let Whittingham speak.
I was just amazed in following the elections last night in how small the number of votes are
Oh my God.
that give these people such immense amounts of power. Joe Carroyo won 3,500 votes.
It's funny.
And he basically gets to run the city of Miami on 3,500 votes.
Well, it's an off-year election, though.
I know, but still, Dan and Billy Corbin have been talking about this. This is really important stuff. This is as important as 2020 November, and yet
or the midterms.
Nobody showed up.
Like president of the United States.
I know, but if you live in Miami, this is actually in some ways more consequential than the president, right? Like the president does a lot of things. Things that affect your lives happen at local level.
Yeah, I'm gonna
3,500 votes.
I'm
These
gonna, I'm gonna
elections
shoot
have-
that down real quick. I've never gotten in a fight over Thanksgiving meals
Right.
over Joe Carollo. I'm sorry.
No, but I understand what Whittingham is
In
in terms
saying.
of actual government policy.
Bobo.
No, but these elections have long-term effects that people don't realize.
We work
They
on
just-
Miami
yeah,
Beach.
You're right.
Alcohol will not be sold on Miami
Oh.
Beach after 2 a.m. because 7,300 people voted for it.
No, they just stole Miami Beach is what happened. If you're listening to what Billy Corbin is saying in the history of this city and the real estate grifts in this city, they're purposely trying to blight this neighborhood so they can have it, so they could build condos and they could change everything that's here. It's why it's so offensive to me what it is that's happening. You're right, Whittingham. Basically, Joe Carollo runs this city with a state militia that could shut down the businesses of Mike's friends that are. That's a great bar, man. And in an area that needs that bar, an area that doesn't have things like that, ball and chain. And
Yeah, Union Beer Store was the shakedown that I was mentioning before. Ball and Chain had been dark for 2 years because of Joe Carollo's actions and his thugs. Disgusting. Also, why are we trying to build condos on Miami Beach? You'd think real estate developers would have foresight.
I don't understand how any
Don't we
of
have
this.
enough?
I don't understand. I've told you this before. How any of this stuff exists here. We have no chance against a Category 4 hurricane that hits directly. Never mind a 5. There's nothing keeping us from just horror. It's nothing but luck that has made it so that this area here.
But that's the thing, right? Because it's been 30 years since a Category 5 hurricane, we're like, maybe our run of luck will continue.
Go look at what this area looked like when Scarface was made down here. It was just old people government housing because you would not dare build something here. And then the land value went crazy. And now I want you to imagine, you guys know what's across the street over there, just that land over there, just all that acreage that right now just serves as park. If they're purposely trying to blight it so they can have it, that's why you have all these local businesses complaining about it. Mango's down here, this nightclub down here down the street is one of the biggest in the United States. And did you guys see this video that made an appearance the other day? Mango's was fighting this thing hard because they want to stay in business and obviously have drinking after 2 a.m. But this video that made the rounds right before the vote was somebody stumbling out of Mango's. This was just a night in Miami. I think it was like a Tuesday night. 6'6", 280-pound dude stumbles out of Mango's. And I don't know how they had every camera angle of this, but this is what happened to him as he wandered around. Because he was looking for fights, and he's giant, and he's clearly drunk. And he comes up to one car, and somebody pulls a gun on him. And so he wanders away, and then somebody grabs his head and throws him into a Ferrari. Throws him into a Ferrari someplace else and just walks off. I would hate to be the owner of that Ferrari with a giant Russian dent left by a Russian human being. And then in a pizza joint, the guy gets his head caved in by other people who are fighting him. And he ends up in jail because he instigated all of it. And that's what they're trying ostensibly to keep out of here from 2 to 5 a.m. But now they're going to just fill the streets that aren't policed with a bunch of those people spilling out of bars who don't want to be leaving bars.
And it's not the old adage, nothing good ever happens after midnight. Like, there has been tragic violence in this stretch of land. The type of violence, like a father just being shot while he's having a meal with his child. It's 6 o'clock in the evening. That's not a 2 a.m.
In a cafe, in an outdoor cafe.
Yeah, I actually thought about this, like, because Gelber got reelected. And I thought about this when Baker Mayfield pissed me off because he posted on his Instagram stories a chart of Austin police. And the fewer Austin police there have been over the years, the murders have gone up. And I'm like, wow, what a privilege take from someone that ran away and got arrested for it from that very same Austin force to be playing this tired trope out. I think you have a bigger responsibility. Also, you are tremendously lacking in self-awareness, Baker Mayfield. It's always more policing, not better policing. And I think that at the heart of it, Billy was making really good points about this stretch of land. It's so poorly policed, but you realize the intention. Because real estate developers, they don't need as much capital to develop in Miami as they do in other major U.S. cities. That's why it is such a prize.
Why?
Miami and Florida, baby. It's a free-willing state. That's why a lot of people have moved down here. We encourage this type of, and it'll eventually be reckless. People will overextend themselves on real estate.
I already
projects.
have like all those high rises in downtown and in Brickell. Like they just keep stacking them on top of each other. I remember going to the arena as a kid. And I was like, okay, this is what this area looks like. And you go by it now, it's a completely different place because they just keep stacking high rises on top of each other. It's like a quarter of the lights are on. Who is this for?
But I thought it was thriving there, no? Like downtown Brickell, that area? No.
They've just started.
I mean, it's jammed with people, but that's not necessarily thriving. That just means they're just stacking high rises on top of each other.
They lack the infrastructure and the planning to make it an enjoyable experience. Any local kind of just rolls their eyes at the notion of having to spend any time in Brickell because it is such a nightmare to get in and out of there.
They've just begun the ruining.
Your events at Brickell
of this place.
Yeah.
on Saturday. Come join us at Blackbird Ordinary on Saturday.
Have drinks with us.
I'm confused as to why you called it my event.
Well, because your name's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
It's our event.
It's
And it's your company. And,
No, we didn't conceptualize it.
It is our event on Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Oh, we're not doing it? Okay.
No, I don't
Okay, no.
think so. It's a Batard Brothers event. That's where, your event, you conceptualize Moss Miami. It's not an insult. Yes, thank you for the royal we. Yes, it is our event. We're all going to be out there. We're all going to be having a good time. But you are the co-founder. It's like how I would refer to Metalark Media as your company because you're a co-founder of the company.
Saturday night, we are at Blackbird Ordinary. I don't think that there are any more tickets left for that. I think it's sold out. It's mosslebatard.com if there are any more tickets on it. But I did want to get into the Tyler Hero stuff that you were talking about earlier, Stugotz, because I don't know if you're watching this, but the Miami Heat are just simply overwhelming.
Mike Ryan said to me on Monday that the Heat are the best team in the NBA. Now, this is not box score, Stu. I actually watched the game last night. And you and I discussed this on Monday. I think it takes Kyle Lowry actually playing for your team and you watching him on a nightly basis to realize what kind of impact he can have on your team. The way that guy pushes the ball, and not just with his legs, the passes, the full court passes he makes are fantastic. Those four guys, Mike, you might be right. They might be the best team in the NBA. Those four guys were phenomenal last night, and they're just really good basketball players. All four of them.
Dan sent me a sequence last night because I missed the first half. It was electric basketball that was being played in that game between Luka and Tyler Hero. And if you look at Tyler Hero's start to the season, which statistically is the greatest start ever for a player coming off of the bench in NBA history, okay?
157 points in 7 games.
Yeah, look at his stats compared to Luka Doncic. Everyone was making fun of him, saying, I believe I belong in that conversation with Trae Young and Luka, and it sounded ridiculous, and to a fairly large degree, it still sounds ridiculous because Tyler Hero, I'm not going to...
it didn't sound ridiculous
less
last
and less
night.
ridiculous.
I think we're all cautiously optimistic, but we're meeting this with skepticism just because last year was so disastrous for Tyler Hero. It felt like such a tremendous step back, even though the stats don't necessarily bear that out. It felt like it was bad.
You were saying it's not ridiculous, but last night at halftime, this was the talking point on the NBA on TNT set. And Charles Barkley still thinks it's ridiculous. And the reason that he gave was that Luka Doncic and Trae Young have to carry their team every night. They are the lead guy. They generate that offense. Tyler Hero comes off the bench. Now, I think coming off the bench is something of a misnomer with him because he's still playing a ton of minutes against starters.
He played more than anybody but Butler last night, did he not? Did he not play 35 minutes last night?
But at the same time, we know who runs the Heat's offense. It's Kyle Lowry and it's Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Tyler Hero is a tremendous scorer,
but he's
not doing the same things that those other two guys are.
But he's averaging 32 minutes per game. I mean, he's coming off the bench.
He's a starter.
Right, he's a starter.
This is a Spoelstra thing where he brings a good player off the bench to kind of generate a second unit, but he's really a starter.
He's gonna run away with that 6th man of the year.
I was
award.
infuriated at that. We were talking about this yesterday in our chat. He was at plus 240 yesterday, and now he's at plus 140. His odds went down 100 points on the basis of one game.
Why take that bet? The next closest to him to win the 6th man of the year is plus 800. I cannot articulate how insane that is. November 3rd. It's crazy. He is running away with it. It is a foregone conclusion. He also may be an all-star this year, Dan.
I want to step back from this for a second because it is just 7 games, and we all pointed out to you that after he led the preseason in scoring, Tyler Hero, that Tyler Hansborough had also led a preseason in scoring. So I do understand if people listening to this think that we are now going full blown earlier than any time since 2014 to heat overreaction hyperventilation mode after but they are good. They're indisputably good. And
they want to blow teams out. They're going into games with the intention of blowing you off the court.
Updated to supplement updated odds. Tyler Hero plus 140. Next closest, Jordan Clarkson plus 1,000 to win the 6th man of the year.
I looked at the numbers. Like, you're right. He's better than Doncic this year. He is the Beluga Whale. It's unbelievable.
So if you're watching last night, and it was a very fast pace, and one of the things that's happening with the Heat is they've gone from the second slowest team in terms of pace, ahead of only Thibs. You know what that, I mean, his offenses are covered in cement.
Yeah.
You don't even have to look at the stats to assume Thibs is sitting at the top of the lowest pace.
They're good, though.
To now, Miami has something that's intriguing because it's not good like the Knicks are good, where you're like watching them and you're like, oh, the Knicks are good.
Yeah.
But you don't think the Knicks are going to win the championship. No. You don't think that collection of players is good enough to just, it's more interesting is good enough for the Knicks.
It feels good not to be an embarrassment. It does. It really does.
Watching the Knicks, and I'm not going to take this opportunity to shit on the Knicks. They're a good team. They have to try so hard and execute so well to be as good as they are now. And in the end, it won't be enough. What the Miami Heat are doing right now, despite being the best defense in the league, seems relatively effortless. They are moving so well. They are communicating on such a higher plane right now. They look like they've been playing for decades. This is Spurs championship type ball movement from this offense. And it goes back to Spo because Kyle Lowry wasn't really an exciting, splashy move for the Miami Heat to make.
Splash.
When you consider their cap room, just like Jimmy Butler, you've improved your team, but have you really? We all kind of like Goran Dragic. And you give Spo a Kyle Lowry, and the offense looks totally different.
They haven't had one. I can't remember. I mean, since LeBron, really. But a point guard that is actually like Goran Dragic, people think of him as a point guard because he got to 5 assists a game. He's not a point guard in the way that he's actually seeing the floor and thinking about how to get his teammates in the best position to score. He's a drive and kick guy who can get you 5 assists a game. But Kyle Lowry actually runs an offense, and you can see the difference in actually having a point guard. And when Dragic was out last season, you saw a complete and utter absence of someone to run an offense. And Kyle Lowry, there's a reason why they tweeted out QB1. Now, the Heat are taking unnecessary pot shots at the Dolphins and the Hurricanes by calling him QB1. But there's a reason why they call him that.
He's been fantastic. He's a perfect fit for this team. Just quickly on the Knicks, before the Knicks fans come after you, Dan, they are averaging over 115 points per game. We're 7 games in, but it's 115 per game.
The Knicks are 28th in the league in pace, Stugotz. There's a reason why you say that.
I'm just saying they're averaging over 115 points per game. That's what the Heat are averaging.
But it goes back to my point, which is if you play that slow of pace, you're not going to get as many opportunities to score that many points. They have to execute at such a high level.
And they're 4th in the league in offensive rating.
Yes.
My point in bringing up the Knicks was just to tell you there are certain teams in the league that you know are good, but not good enough.
Correct.
That was
Knicks are one of them.
That was my only point where you're like, that I respect that they're pretty good, and also they have no chance to win the championship.
Agreed.
What I'm watching with the Heat that's different, and I feel like a moron already with a small sample, I got it really wrong on the difference between Kyle Lowry and Goran Dragic. And it's not about either one of them as a player, but when you're talking about this pace and the thing that has Whittingham and Mike and the Miami Heat organization and the fan base excited is that you have this group of things. Oh, wait, that's best defense in the league kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
That's best ball movement in the league kind of good. That's a whole bunch of exciting, fast pace. Both those teams were trying to go fast last night, and only one of them could. Luka was drowning on the defensive end When he'd go into the heat,
Right.
it took a lot of effort. And then when he had to backpedal and get back, they were getting torched back there. And I want to attack what it is that Whittingham is saying here about it is true that Tyler Hero has a different set of responsibilities than Trae Young and Luka Doncic. But those are 4 and 5 and 6 seeds with those guys as the lead guy, which maybe is what the Heat would be if Tyler Hero was the lead guy.
Mm-hmm.
But when one of those kinds of guys, like I know you're saying is ridiculous, but is taking 20 shots a game and playing your minutes and is a scoring machine. And furthermore, this one's not small, Stugotz, because this I want to go through with you. So Tyler Hero goes from the Jack Harlow thing and Instagram famous and everybody's watching his every move and he's surrounded by temptation, and Jimmy Butler has had problems in Chicago with the young players, and he ruined Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins with the young players, and God knows what his relationship was with Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. And last year it was said that Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler were not good. If Tyler Hero is this for Jimmy Butler, like
They'll be great. Yes.
If
They'll be fine.
If that's what
Yes.
if Jimmy
Win his
Butler
title.
Jimmy Butler gets to play the game this way. This is the way Jimmy Butler would like to play. He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to
He
be.
doesn't have to be.
Luka and
Yes.
Trae, and probably can't be.
And it's giving us a better version of Jimmy Butler because he doesn't feel like he has to carry the load offensively, and he's playing free, and he's an MVP candidate.
The
right
guy we're kind of leaving out here in this particular discussion, because he did it like 5 times last night, especially late, and Luka was getting frustrated.
Bam.
Is Bam.
Alien.
He backs Luka down. Larry just throws the ball in, and Bam turns around and drops it in the bucket.
Yeah.
And Luka gets frustrated, and he should be because he's like, "Hey, I'm out here by myself, and they got 4 guys."
We're talking about futures and all that. I locked in Bam Adebayo, Defensive Player of the Year. Hope to God I don't give it to Rudy Gobert this year just because he's tall again. But knowing how these voters vote on it, they may just end up giving it to Ben Simmons, just sight unseen. Bam Adebayo is as unique a defender in the league right now.
He's great.
That you can sack him up against anybody.
Are you intrigued, Mike, by the next stretch of games here? Because it's Boston, Utah, Denver, LA, the Clippers, and then Utah again.
We're going to do something on our YouTube page post that LA game because these are teams that are not
But
necessarily
that's a tough
well.
stretch,
Like
though.
Boston, I don't know what's going on there. It's very confusing how Brad Stevens is still kind of around, but he's not coaching, and now you have Brad Stevens, the executive? Huh? They're going to be on the back end of a back-to-back. They're playing at Orlando tonight, and Tyler Hero feasts off them. Even when he's not playing well in the season, he always owns Marcus Smart for whatever reason. Miami Heat are the best team in basketball right now. And if I had to pick a team that's going to be hoisting the Larry O'Brien at the end of the year, I'd pick the Miami Heat.
I guess I'm interested within that stretch is the home and home with Utah. Like Utah
That's gonna be
appears to
great.
be really, really good.
Yeah, and those games delivered. And I was kind of just reveling in how absurd the first 7 games have been and the preseason has been for Tyler Hero. But given what we've seen with the rule changes and now James Harden doesn't necessarily seem like it's the same player, do you think Brooklyn would trade James Harden for Tyler Hero?
That's funny. That is a Billy. Is Skeptical Billy behind that mask anywhere? I don't know how it is because this must be annoying to the audience hearing Heat fan.
They're the best team in the NBA.
I mean,
Get it out while you can.
I'm just hoping they
Thank
don't.
you.
I'm just hoping they don't get injured. If they stay healthy, they will be a championship contender.
But Billy is saying discuss it while they're the best
Yeah.
team in the NBA, right? Because they might not be
Have
soon.
fun,
right?
yeah. Why not? Knock yourselves out.
They lost to Indiana. Bam didn't play in that game, or Kyle
Lowry didn't.
All right,
They
so-
went to OT in that game, and they ended up losing by double digits in a game that went to OT. But I think right now the only thing, from what we've seen, the only thing that can really sidetrack this season is injury, right? We believe that this team is good. Yes. We
Yes.
believe in the style of offense that they're playing. We know that defense is sustainable. These are players of defensive repute, and we know that the coach knows how to coach defense. It may not be this great throughout the end of the year. There's certainly no way their point differential stays at what it's at right now. They'd be one of the greatest teams in NBA history if that's the case. But this isn't fool's gold, right?
They've won all their games
This is
by
a good
double.
team.
They've won all their games by double digits, and they've gone on the road and won all their games by double digits, other than the Indiana game.
They're plus 17.
It's not even that though. That's a small sample. It's all of it is a small sample, but you know their defense is good, and you know their offense is good. Like we
Yes.
don't have to clutter it. You know their rebounding is good because that's been it. Bam now the way that they're playing makes it so that Bam is gobbling up everything. He's going to be he's going to be like a 20-14 guy.
But it's can Kyle Lowry stay healthy? That's important. And can Tyler Hero continue to play like this the entire season? We'll see.
But why couldn't he? Is what I'm saying. If they're going to
I
allow,
think he can.
because it's a power chord is thrown on the court when he's out there, and they're playing at that kind of pace. Like you went last night from made basket by Luka on a Euro step. Tyler takes the inbound, takes it all the way down the court and scores. Then Luka shoots again, and they're saying, well, he'd check. You got to let Luka keep shooting because he's on fire. And then Tyler grabs the ball and shoots a three in his face, and then they go to timeout, and you're watching an exciting basketball team that's swamping teams and players you know to be good on the road. And while it's a small sample, you're seeing something that makes Reggie Miller say, you guys heard this, right? Reggie Miller, Miami deserves all of the mockery it gets for the number of banners it puts in its rafters. They put the gold medalists in the rafters. But Reggie Miller said, because it's noticeable on Bam, you wanted him to be more aggressive. Mike Ryan was out on Bam during the postseason last year.
So much.
And he is now, because you're looking at him and you're like, hey, you're more athletic than anyone out there.
You're
Yes.
good. You know how to shoot.
By a lot.
You're good.
That's a pretty athletic sport. Bam, don't be more athletic than them.
There was a time where Luka fouled him because he had no choice, and Luka was just staring at him on the foul line. He was like, "My God, this guy's impressive."
I'm still a little worried. I don't know, because that was so remarkable to watch last year, how Budenholzer just checked Bam Adebayo, that I kind of need to see it in the playoffs to make sure that he's totally over it. But you're so good, Bam Adebayo. Just
So
believe
good.
in yourself.
Yeah.
But Reggie Miller says, of those banners, he says Bam Adebayo is a different player because he played in those Olympics. Now, it sounds ridiculous to me. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
I don't agree with it. I'm not even sure what he's talking about.
Right.
But Bam does look like a different player.
He does. Yes.
I don't think it has anything to do with those Olympics, but it might have something to
Maybe
do
he
with
keeps
being
you in
embarrassed
shape,
in the
though.
first round against
No, it's
Milwaukee.
not the cardio that he gets
I don't know,
in.
Mike. It
the
seems
scrimmages.
ridiculous.
It's the scrimmages. It's
right.
Greg Popovich starting you at center and telling you to go for it, and you can't back down there because you want to play for your Olympics, and it's not the same situation, and it's iron sharpens iron. You're going against not the very best, because this Olympic roster wasn't exactly the very best, but it is a confidence builder, and this was a player that was lacking in confidence, I felt, when they got swept by Milwaukee.
So we're talking about like the big four, but Mike and I talked about this on Monday. Dan, it's why we get excited on deadline day and small little deals and trades, because they've made some great acquisitions. The acquisition of Dwayne Dedman, that guy has been fantastic for the Heat. I love Dedman.
He
I
has
really
been.
do.
The Heat find those guys, and yes, Heat fans will fall in love with him, but we will annoy the holy hell out of what little remains of our audience if we now lapse into Stugotz's Dwayne
I
Dedman
love
talk.
Dedman. You
Can't
need
talk our
that
shit
off the
today.
bench, some toughness.
We
I
can't
mean,
talk our shit today.
I'm
We're
just-
really
look,
good. We
I'm
were in the
just
finals
saying-
a year ago, guys. Like
Little PJ Tucker.
I'm excited
I mean-
about Kyle Lowry because, yeah, we got it wrong with Goran Dragic and Kyle Lowry. Of course we would. They made it to an NBA Finals with Goran Dragic at point guard when he was, during certain series, their best player in that march towards the finals. Couldn't foresee this. I obviously elevated Goran Dragic. Kyle Lowry is obviously a better player with a unique skill set. And dude is dripping wet from the field. Like, he was 6 for 9 from three-pointer. This is a guy that struggled with his confidence from downtown.
But he
before.
doesn't have to be a one either, to my point
Correct.
on Luka, and he doesn't have to be the one. Like, I don't know how this works. Where I asked you yesterday, Mike, before that game, do you want what the Heat have right now, or do you want LeBron? Because the Lakers look old.
LeBron is the in terms of per Tyler Hero is just below, one slot behind LeBron James right now. And that's
they're
actually,
5-3.
That's
guys.
actually a kind of a trick that I'm playing on the audience because
Right.
Tyler Hero, considering how we've talked about him, you'd think he'd be like top 10 in per. No, he's in the 40s. LeBron's in the 40s too.
You stick around for the UD minutes. Two of
Yeah,
them.
diving.
Two glorious minutes.
Glorious
He took a
Udonis
3.
Haslam minutes.
He took a
I saw-
3.
I saw a
It was
tweet.
exciting though.
I saw a tweet once he dove for a loose ball.
Oh, it was great.
You can keep your developmental prospect. This, you can't teach this.
So wait a minute. You're
It's a
gonna
20-point game. He's diving all over the court.
you're gonna go from Deadman to Haslam. What
I
is
love it.
Stugotz doing? Stugotz is
Marquise Morris.
Stugotz is all of a sudden
I like our
I'm a
team.
Heat fan.
a
Lifer.
Heat-
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at you.
fan.
Thinking about season tickets again.
Good squad. I like this team.
Billy, are you sad because the Braves won the title? Is that what's happening
They
back
did?
there?
Sad. I'm happy for certain people that I like that are Braves fans. Juju Gotti, Mayor Matt, Randy Scott, L. Duncan. I'm happy for them. I'm happier that Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to have a ring that he did nothing for. And hopefully that'll be that.
I got a stat of the day. Speaking of rings that you did nothing for, because I've got what I think is a pretty good stat of the day for you here.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
This is from Peter Baugh on Twitter. Terrence Gore, who played 0 regular season games and 1 postseason game, now has 3 World Series rings in 102 career games.
Wow.
How do you win the title with Acuna out? Do you realize the odds, Billy? Did you read some of
Well,
the
they're
odds?
good. The Braves are good,
What-
Dan. And they traded for half of their team at
They-
the deadline.
They won this series at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They really did.
yeah.
I mean, most of the homers were hit by the 4 guys they obtained at the trade deadline.
Doovie.
Yeah.
2 former Marlins were in the World Series against each other. They were on the Marlins this year together. Yimmy was pitching against Duvall. Who would have thought, huh? Back in February, 2 Marlins in the series.
Back in February, who would have thought at the All-Star break? You saw the odds on the Braves, Stugotz. The All-Star break, the chances of the Braves winning the World Series from the All-Star break are you having 3 die in your hand, rolling them, and coming up all 6s. That's what the odds were
Right.
of the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series. The Dodgers were a good deal better than them. The Giants were a good deal better than
The
them.
Mets were better than them.
Well,
The
during-
Mets were not
the Mets
better
weren't
than
better
At
than
one
them.
time,
epic.
they were.
Epic
The
collapse.
first half of the season,
5.5
They
up.
were a fraud team the whole year.
the Mets.
I think a 5.5 game lead in the East.
By the way, I know the answer to this, but just for those at home who don't, what are the odds of rolling 3 die and having it all land on 6?
Isn't it 0.3%?
I have no idea. I mean, I know, but for those who don't know, what are those odds?
Isn't it 0.3%?
Sure.
if you say
If
so.
you say so. Yeah.
Also, it could be like rolling it in any number, right? Like if it was all 2s, it'd be the same as all 6s.
I think they all have the same percentage. I mean, I'm not a math major, but
Me neither.
right.
How does that work on die, by the way? Do you guys know how die work? I don't. Like if there's 6 holes on a die, you would think that it would have to weigh the same as one with just 1 hole, right? So are the holes dug deeper? Because if not, the weight you'd think would throw off the die, would it not?
You're asking questions that I do not have the answer to.
I don't have any level of expertise in this
Who knows
department.
die?
The probability,
Witty, do you know about die? You
the
seem like a Dungeons and
probability of
Dragons guy.
rolling 3 dice is 136. I don't know what that means. Like 3 dice, same number, 136. It might be different for 3 6s.
The odds of rolling a 6 3 times are 1 in 216, which is 0.463%.
What's the 136 thing I just did?
I have no idea.
That's twice.
Oh,
And what about like how deep are the holes?
That's a good question. See, you keep asking the question, what you're asking basically is the weight of each side of the die.
It would have to be the same, right?
And so can you make 6 smaller holes in it that weigh less or weigh the same amount as one hole?
And then you fill it with paint and it's a whole thing. Well, no pun intended, but literally a whole thing.
I don't have the answer to your questions. Perhaps
this is what plagues my mind, just so you get like a little
I
insight
just
into
asked you
it.
about the World Series,
Yeah.
and I was talking about the how uncommon it is to
Those
win.
damn Astros lost again, huh? Isn't that great? Idiots. Stupid watch. Correa. God. I should like Correa because I got my wife's wedding ring at the same jeweler that gave Alex Correa his engagement ring.
You should like him.
You
for
should
that
like
reason.
him.
Well, yeah, because there was a picture on the wall.
Connection there.
I also got my engagement ring from Flacco's ring guy.
Joe
Weird.
Flacco's ring
Joe's?
guy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, in Baltimore.
Really?
It's a whole thing.
How?
Are you sure it wasn't just a guy who goes by Flacco in Miami?
Oh,
There's
no.
a lot of those.
No. This guy was on Antiques Roadshow.
There are so many of those Flacos and Gordos. Yes, there are so many of those. Are you sure?
None of the diamonds are
'Cause
real.
I think Joe Flacco is in a bigger tax bracket than you are.
Yo, yeah, no. This guy, for sure, this is the worst ring he's ever sold. I shouldn't say that because maybe my wife's this is probably the least expensive ring he's ever sold. In fact, when I gave it to him, he gave it to me in one of those little plastic balls that you put the 25 cents in the machine and you turn it and it came like that. There wasn't even a box.
Wow, man.
Like at Publix?
Yeah.
No,
It's not true.
I refuse to believe
Come
that.
on.
You're making that up. That
I believe Flacco's ring guy has a
no
bit
way.
more respect for
for your love.
for engagement ring and the pomp and circumstance of it all.
Little plastic bubble.
A rattle in a plastic bubble.
There's an actual guitarist who's not Keith Richards is doing all the work.
Yeah, the backing band. They do all the heavy lifting. They're older, man. They can't.
Is that common though? A backing band?
Yeah,
It is?
the bigger bands get, you'll see as they continue to tour more, they'll start adding pieces to their band.
Right.
How was the new drummer? Isn't there? Because their drummer passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, new drummer is fine. Yeah, it's part of me wanted to see them because I don't know if I've never seen them before, and as
You'll have chances again, I
Yeah.
promise you.
You think so?
Yes.
I said that about Tom Petty a few years ago, and I never got to see Tom Petty.
That's
mean, you
why
really
saw,
think-
I went out of my way to make sure that I saw Tom Petty on several of that tour stops.
Right.
I'm glad I did because he ended up passing. With the Rolling Stones, it could end at any moment for them.
It could.
People have been
That's
saying
clear.
that since
You're
like
right.
2006, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But are they dubbing this? Are they promoting it as their
No.
final tour?
No.
Okay. what was that look, Smitty? Because it's never their final tour,
No,
right?
No.
No, they're going to be doing it as long as they can, but I don't. How much longer can they possibly do it? Well, Mick Jagger's almost 80.
Right. I mean, I want to go to the Stones and know that I'm seeing Keith Richards do more than just, strum the guitar every now and then.
I mean, that's what he did at his apex, but they rely on him a lot less. And, he'll throw out an occasional solo that's not very good. And
Right.
you're going there to see Keith. It's enough.
Do you respect the solo or do you laugh at the solo?
It's just funny because they jack their guitar feeds way up on the pot so you can hear exactly what their contributions are to songs, and some of it's not very good. But I will say Mick is awesome. He sounds great. He's a showman. To be doing that at 78 years old, I highly recommend seeing them. But part of why I'm a big Stones fan.
I know you are.
And I had never seen them before, so they were a bucket list item. But also part of it is the reality is these guys are older now, and you don't know exactly how many chances you'll have to see them. So that's why I jumped at the chance. Oh, they're coming to Florida. I'll do that. I'll fly up to Tampa. And unfortunately for me, they announced a show at the Hard Rock Live next month that I probably would have done in retrospect. But always good going to Burn's Steakhouse in Tampa.
Ooh.
Tampa's not one of my favorite cities, but Burn's Steakhouse is
What
one
side
of my
you go
favorite
with there?
restaurants.
What side
I
you
went
go
with the mushrooms, which I'd never had
Oh.
before,
Mm.
and the white truffle mac, very rich.
He sauteed mushrooms, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You big Burns
fantastic.
guys too?
I like Burns. I've been there once.
Yeah, I've been there once.
Once
Yeah.
only?
That's it. Yeah.
And I've been there.
It's a vibe. You walk in there, it's like this is
kind of like the Haunted Mansion.
yeah.
Yeah. What side
Love
you
the
go
Haunted
with?
Mansion. Such a good vibe.
I believe like some mashed potatoes. My wife's always she likes the mashed potatoes with her.
You're talking
steak.
steakhouses in general. These sides you go with, right?
Something al gratin.
I'm a-
It's got to be one
You gotta
potato,
get some type of potato and some type of vegetable.
Peter would hate
cream
me.
spinach.
I
is-
love steakhouses.
Spinach and like a
Oh, I love
fries or
steakhouses.
I'm
mashy,
Yeah.
It's like
twice baked.
it's honestly I go for like mental health wellness. It's zen. Going to a steakhouse once a month and just dining on a proper steak dinner.
Yes.
I do that often by myself.
What kind of steak do you get?
I'm a ribeye guy.
Nice cab.
Nice.
Big bowl cab.
Mm.
If they have French onion soup, got to do that.
Oh, the French onion.
Yeah.
Clams Casino.
Not a clams
The
casino. guy.
Palm has the best clams casino, baked clams casino I've ever had.
I don't have an opinion on clams casino.
All right.
What about an Oysters Rockefeller?
I don't like oysters.
Oh,
Hmm.
But you like clams.
The stuffing in the clam helps.
but there's stuffing in the Oysters Rockefeller.
I don't think I like it. Too fishy.
You don't think you like it? You haven't tried it.
When I have baked
That-
clams, it needs to be heavy on the stuffing. The bacon helps, which is why I get clams casino. Anything to absorb the taste of the actual clam itself. So I like stuffing with bacon. Yes.
Stuffing and bacon.
With a hint of clam.
Okay.
Okay. And some lemon.
I think you'd like Oysters Rockefeller.
Yeah, you would.
I'll try it.
All right, I'll make you some.
I'd be willing to try it. I didn't
Make-
say
make 'em
yours.
some, yeah.
I'll make you some Oysters
Bring
Rockefeller.
bring oysters to work day.
At 7
Yeah.
a.m. So I have
Yeah.
to prepare them the night before.
There's nothing like 8 a.m. oysters Rockefeller.
What are these
they'll
steak
travel well,
sides,
too.
though? Cream, if you can only have two steak sides, it is cream spinach is one.
No,
It's not?
I like cream spinach, and I would believe that I'd probably align myself with that take more than you'd believe, but it's a losing hand against the masses.
Baked potato, B&S,
No.
What's a BNS?
butter and sour cream.
No.
Oh.
You gotta
I
get
thought
the,
you didn't
uh,
like sour cream, Cody.
You got to go hash brown potatoes or the lyonnaise potatoes. Those are the best. Or
Potatoes
potatoes
au
au
gratin.
gratin. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I go with gratin.
Do you?
If it's my favorite type of potato, that's not a French fry. I love French fries.
I love steak fries.
Can't get enough.
Thick steak fries. Wide surface area.
Love it. Love fries. But no, I'm a big steakhouse guy. I like to go to all the big ones.
You do the porterhouse ever?
I've done it. If
Porterhouse
they-
for two sliced. Here's
if-
what I love
if
about
they
the
recommend
porterhouse.
If they recommend that,
Right.
I always ask what cut are you known for here,
Right.
and they'll give me an argument, and then I'll balance that with my habit of going cowboy ribeye. And if they
Okay.
have a glowing, if they have a glowing menu item that they feel really strongly about it, I'll be like, okay, I'll do what you guys do best.
What I love about porterhouse is you get New York strip on one side, filet mignon on the other side. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's always sliced.
How do you feel about the
And
tomahawk?
then you gnaw at that bone. I don't like the tomahawk.
Really, Tomahawk Tuesdays
Yeah.
at Fleming's? Love that.
I just like the filet. I don't like the fatty stuff. I know.
Yeah,
I know
get
what you're
outta here.
thinking.
Plain Jane.
Yeah, you guys like just eating a piece of fat?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's the best part.
If I do get those type of
Yes.
steaks,
No,
I end up
griddle.
having so much left over that I'm
I
not
search
eating.
for it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
My
well,
uncle's
yeah.
like that. He
What
just
do
like
you do when you're at a restaurant and you're chewing like a little piece of like gristle or fat, but you can't swallow it because like it's too
grab
tough?
the table side drink napkin, give a
and
little,
but or you're
just,
can you do that noise again?
and then you put it in a little ball and you slide it up under one of the side tables.
Let's
I mean
hear
the
that-
side plates.
Let's hear that sound again. What do you do?
You take your little
Right.
cocktail napkin,
Mhm.
you just put it up to the round real quick. It's got to be quick, little, whoop, and then you ball it up to as small as possible, and then you
Yes.
slide it underneath the little like side plate. Just slide it in there. No one
Oh.
notices.
But what if you're talking to someone and they have like great eye contact and you can't
Well, you have to wait at that
and they
point.
and
Yeah,
they can see
you're
that
screwed.
you're chewing
Yeah,
because
you're
you're like
screwed.
looking
You
at your
store it
mouth.
away.
You need
No,
to
they-
break. You need
Right.
to break that eye contact as fast as possible. And
You don't run
Hmm.
into that at a good steak place.
no,
No, at a good steak place, when you're biting into the gristle and the fatty parts, they go down easy.
They melt.
If it's worth a damn.
Yeah.
Not every steakhouse though. You can't always go to a good steakhouse. Sometimes you got to go to an okay steakhouse.
Yeah, depends on where in the country you are. Some
That's
places
true.
only have the okay places.
What
Some
are the
places
okay
only have the.
steakhouses?
I'm not naming names.
Oh,
Not naming names with chain restaurants.
Brian's with Smoutback.
okay. All right.
I was in. All right, we'll do it. I was in Macon, Georgia, and they didn't really have a go-to steakhouse there, so I
Right.
went to the Outback.
Yeah.
I love the Outback.
I used to live next to a
The
house.
Blooming
bread
Onion.
is fantastic.
The
The,
bread-
Wait a
cheese
minute.
fries are
I used
fantastic.
to live next to an Outback. Isn't
Oh.
exactly endorsing their quality as a
No,
restaurant.
So I was walking distance. What I was trying to get at was I live next to an Outback, so I would walk over to the Outback occasionally and have a nice old Monday.
Billy, he
steak
loved the
dinner.
Outback so much he was willing to make it his neighbor. I mean,
Yeah.
that's he wanted to be in
Yeah,
walking distance.
Their French onion soup is good.
It is good.
Yeah, I
They
really
have
like it.
great apps there. The cheese fries are underrated. Everyone always talks about coconut shrimp versus the bloomin' onion, but the cheese fries are where it's at.
I
and
would
the
s-
bread that they give you is
I think the bread is some of the most underrated bread in America.
I feel like because everybody loves the bread so much that it's a little overrated. Because every single person you ask will say, "Oh, Outback bread." That's
You-
why it's highly thought of. So you get it, and it's like,
You know what the best chain restaurant appetizer is?
hops.
Red Lobster
Tony
cheesy
won.
biscuits.
No, Tony won.
The butter
red-
roll.
You guys didn't even let me finish. It's the Red Lobster cheesy
No, that's good.
biscuits.
That's a
They're
good
so
answer.
We got it. It's a
Good
good
answer,
one.
Jess.
no,
Good
it's
answer.
a great
Good answer,
answer.
Jess.
Yeah.
Just
You
not the
can't have
Texas
You can't have
Roadhouse.
the bread anymore.
I know, it's so depressing. I've never had the Texas Roadhouse rolls.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I went to a Texas Roadhouse with you.
I know.
Melting in your mouth rolls, and
Couldn't
you're
have
just
one.
you were
You
just
didn't have
watching
one?
From the
I
sidelines.
can't eat them anymore.
What happens if you do?
It makes my tummy hurt. I have a
Oh.
food intolerance.
No, what? That's it? That's all that is?
My tummy hurts every day.
Some things are so good it's worth the tummy ache afterwards.
I was fully aware
Exactly.
that my stomach issues would probably be a lot easier on me if I limited my intake on certain things. But I want to live. I'm willing to deal with the consequences.
I want to live without being in like crippling pain when I eat bread.
just
nah,
that-
it's
But you've
fine.
never tasted
Take a
it.
drip to the John.
Come on.
No, it's not. That's not how it works. I also get really bad brain fog when I eat it. That's
You-
something I've never admitted
When
publicly
you eat what?
before.
Grog.
When I have bread, I get brain fog.
Mm.
I feel really out of it afterwards.
Really?
I
does that
swear to
mean?
God.
How?
I swear to God. I feel like I have like smoked a joint or something, but not like I don't have like the sillies. I don't know. I Google it. Some people with food intolerances, when they eat it, it like makes them feel really
I'm not
out
going
of
to
it.
Google it. There's no one that eats bread that
You
gets
get
into a
high.
brain fog
Yeah,
afterwards.
you
No,
get
it's
high
not like
eating
you're
bread?
high. It's just like I'm like really sleepy and just like kind of groggy.
Like Snorlax?
Like it fatigues me. I sound crazy now, but I guarantee you there are
No.
people listening who have food
How
intolerances
many
that
carbs-
agree.
Do you like carbs?
I love carbs. I eat a ton of carbs.
Yeah.
I eat so much like corn tortillas and tortilla chips. That's like my main food group.
But do you like
Nachos.
bread? When you've had bread, do you actually?
Yeah.
When's
oh
the
my
last
God.
time you tried bread?
I eat bread every day, but it just doesn't have wheat in it. It's like different types
When's
of
the
flour.
last time you had bread with wheat in it?
Like 7 years ago.
And it was bad for you?
No, I like slowly stopped eating it and realized that I just felt a lot better when I didn't eat it and I had way more energy. And I haven't had it since.
I love how Chris has solved gluten allergies with a trip to the John. That's all it takes is
I mean,
A
it's
boom,
it's
bada
not,
bang,
it's
boom.
Not, no, that's not it. That's not it.
I'm not so sure it
But
is.
like every time I go to a hibachi joint and I pour all that sauce in there, I'm like, I know how this ends.
Right.
Well, I eat unhealthy food
Love
all
how
the
that-
time that
But
hurts
I
my
like the-
stomach.
I
It's
like
not
the
the same
journey.
thing.
Love how that ends.
No,
The
no, no.
journey's the best.
This is not the same as like, oh, I ate Taco Bell and I feel like shit. It's a different type of feeling. Like you feel like you can't like it just
Brain fog.
yeah, like it's really unpleasant. It's just like
I
you
have a
don't have
weird
energy, you feel
but-
like shit after.
But I have a weird
worth it.
relationship. I'm with Mike, where I have a weird relationship with ice cream. I go into it knowing exactly what it is it's going to do to me the next day, but I still brave through that ice cream. I
Look,
mean, I love
and
it.
Doesn't people with lactose
go to the
intolerance?
John.
They
I
get
mean-
yeah. That's not what happens to me. I'm saying this right now.
You don't go to the John?
Well, I do when I have to, but
What happens?
It's not like being lactose intolerant where like you eat it and then you're like literally sick to your stomach.
Have you ever asked Alexa to fart for you?
No.
You should do that.
Why would I ask her
Yeah.
to do that?
Yeah, say, Alexa, give me a pooey fart, and she'll do it.
I don't want anyone farting for me.
There are people listening to
Do you
this
get the
podcast
relief
on a speaker.
afterwards?
yes.
Right.
Alexa,
You get the relief?
make a pooey fart. I'd like to know that.
Why would
there's
this be a
at
feature?
least
Definitely
one
somebody's.
home-
Yeah.
There's one home right now in America
Dozens, I would say.
that goes, I made a pooey fart. Ask me to make a random fart. She does that. She's like, and you could ask Alexa.
How weird can we get with this?
Well, I've seen a video once. I learned about it because there was this one video of a guy's like, Alexa, whisper to me. And they were like dirty talking to one another. And he's like, fart, please. Fart, but in a whisper. And she, you want another fart? Yeah, I want another fart, Alexa.
Wow.
Creepy.
This is weird.
You can ask Alexa to fart 75 times. You could ask Alexa to fart 200 consecutive times.
But why? But why would I do that?
Seems like a waste of Alexa's
relief.
time. I mean,
Comic relief, the novelty of it.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you get actual relief though? I mean,
Alexa, give me a ketchup bottle fart. Someone's really
Are there different
Yeah.
farts
yeah,
that
sure,
Alexa
sure,
does?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
ketchup bottle fart was my favorite.
So but how did you learn the farts to ask Alexa to do?
Because once you ask Alexa to fart once, you open up a Pandora's box of Alexa volunteering different types of farts.
Wow.
Yeah.
hmm.
That's how I learned about the ketchup bottle fart.
Which was your favorite?
Ketchup bottle fart is pretty dead on.
Just because of the name?
Yeah, and I like it when she says, I just made a pooey fart. Because I never heard that one before. Pooey fart.
Hmm.
Yeah, does anyone have an Alexa device right now? We can
No.
try it out.
But I was thinking about how Chris Whittingham said that double bubble F's him up. That's how I feel when I eat bread. Does that make sense, Whitty?
I'm
Yeah.
looking at the types of farts that Alexa can produce right now.
Yeah.
They have the long and squeaky.
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's good.
You have, huh?
Yeah.
They have the cheek wobbling.
Don't remember that one.
No.
No.
Wait. Oh, those cheeks.
I'm reading a list
Ah.
of Alexa movie lines that she'll do with you. So you say like, Alexa, you talking to me? She'll do the response to that.
I only have one Alexa.
Oh, they do have the
I only have
ketchup.
one Alexa device, and
Oh.
it's in her bedroom, so I have a lot of fun with that. Yeah. Every time I'm kind of in the mood, just brush your teeth. Alexa, play Red Light Special by TLC. And then Cindy's always like, Alexa, shut up. And it's a fun little thing that we have.
They have the squeaky balloon fart.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
You have?
Yeah.
The pushing hard fart.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a waste though. Like I want to
King of
be
the
the
Mountain is ketchup bottle fart.
I want to be the person that says, once I pushed hard enough to get the fart out.
Mm.
Does Alexa do that?
No, Alexa
No.
never really sounds relieved.
Mm.
I don't want to
Which
be
one
that
is the
guy. but
Stugotz eats ice cream fart?
Should we be using this time to be solving cancer and stuff like that instead of teaching robots how to make farting noises?
I think we can walk and chew gum at the same
Yeah,
time.
both.
Cancer's
Not
still
double
real, man.
bubble.
Yeah.
Both.
What does double bubble do to you?
I get a migraine headache every time I have bubble gum.
What?
The
Bubble
jaw
gum
thing?
mess me. I have no idea.
Bubblicious?
It's probably the sugar.
smell gives me like in the realm of a headache. I
What
can't
kind of
smell bubble
Wait,
gum.
wait, whoa. There's very different bubble gums. What smell
You
gives
have
you a
COVID?
headache?
Plain Jane bubble gum.
Do you have COVID?
No.
This is an all the time thing, Mike.
You can't taste bubblegum? You can't
No,
No.
I'm saying it gives me a headache. Like
Yeah.
I have a rather
Right.
strong sense of
Oh.
bubble
His
gum.
body rejects bubble gum.
Yeah.
All kinds of bubble gum.
What do you do if you're at a party and your breath is kind of ranky?
No, I mean like
cheese mint.
double bubble, like a piece of Orbit gum. I'm fine with.
But how about like bazooka?
Bazooka f's me up.
How about like
Big
watermelon
League Chew?
bubblicious?
Ooh, that's a good one. Bill.
Watermelon it probably would.
Oh my god.
Did you ever go to Sports Authority? They had like the Gatorade.
Oh
gum.
yeah.
That was
Mm.
the best. No?
Never had that.
Wow, you miss out. Do they still sell Gatorade gum?
I think so, yeah.
I think Big League Chew f's me up, but I'm not certain.
Big League Chew is my favorite
Wow.
gum.
Gatorade gum was amazing, and then after 6 seconds, it's done.
So it's like Fruit Stripe.
No,
Yeah,
it's like
fruit
being in a
stripe.
bedroom.
How do you do with
Yes.
fruit stripe?
Fruit Stripe doesn't f me up
Baby.
because it only lasts for 11 seconds.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I hate
Mm.
that.
Ugh.
With Cynthia.
Bezos should get on that instead of messing around with Alexa. Make Fruit Stripe taste like Fruit Stripe for 10 minutes.
10. Why not shoot for the moon? 60.
Yeah,
I mean,
60 minutes.
Forever.
Other gums have figured this out. 5
10
gum
years.
lasts forever.
Yeah, it
And he's
does.
coming up short and he's shooting for the moon.
Exactly.
5 gum also, like, that makes my tummy hurt.
Really?
The sugar alcohols. Really?
But bubble gum in general
5 is
doesn't
the best
last.
gum.
The
It
taste
is the
doesn't
best
last.
gum.
Are you
very long.
swallowing the gum?
In terms of,
Oh,
Hey.
yeah, that might be it.
Don't swallow gum. It's a
I need
dangerous
gum
game.
to
Why?
fix my breath
It
situation.
sits in your
up. 5
stomach
is the best.
forever.
7
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, look it up. 7 years.
That's not true. That's like an old
No, it's
wives'
true.
tale. It's
No,
not
it's true.
Look it
That's
up.
one of those things our
Debunk
parents
it.
just told us to scare
Prove 'em
us,
wrong.
and it's
Mhm.
not true.
Eat gum and poop it out in less than 7 years. Prove them wrong. It's impossible.
If James Bond can digest a USB
It's not gum.
thing, we humans can digest gum.
What about the 30 minutes after I eat? Do I have to do that? Is that real?
Oh, with the pool?
Yeah.
Don't do that. You'll drown.
wouldn't.
No, you'll drown. Don't do that.
Oh, I thought it just makes your tummy hurt.
No,
No,
you
you'll
just get a
drown.
you might get a
Drown.
cramp.
You might
and
get cramps,
You might get a
yes.
cramp and then you might drown.
I'm not
Exactly.
having that.
No, it's true, Chris.
No, I'm not having that. The 30-minute rule felt like parents trying to, like, distract the kids
Have you
after
ever done
eating.
it?
They don't want to jump in the pool, so I have to watch
Right.
the kids in the pool.
There's a reason,
Yeah,
though.
I jump in straight after eating.
Wow.
Like
I don't believe
5
that.
seconds
Bad
later, I
boy
jump
over
in the
here.
pool.
With his
That
leather
is a
load of
jacket.
nonsense.
You jump in while chewing?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Do you really?
I've
I
just
don't
finished
know.
eating. Like that has to be the biggest load of nonsense.
And you jump in.
Yeah.
Are there no
cannonball.
diving
Full on
signs?
cannonball.
Wow. Who is this guy?
I jump in. I can't dive.
That's not that surprising.
I don't know how to dive.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
What happens? You belly flop?
Yeah.
Every time.
I'm not good at it.
Mm.
I've conceded I'll never dive.
Do you do, this, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'm sorry if you take offense to this. You strike me as the person that tries to do the cannonball, but only does the one leg and the other one ends up straight. Like you don't do the 2-leg cannonball.
I can't do
A
it.
complete cannonball is tough to actually
It
execute.
is.
To your
Yes.
point, like
What?
people always end up.
Especially
People always
as you
end
get
up.
older.
You get up
Yeah.
into the air,
Yeah.
you get into the cannonball, but then it breaks.
No,
It
Tony's
breaks
a good
before you hit the water.
cannonballer. Ask Izzy.
No, it's very difficult to keep a tight cannonball. It is. It is.
But do you jump up high? What do you do?
No.
I like a little running start,
Really?
a little leap. I
Slippery,
always end
very
up on
dangerous.
my back when I'm doing a cannonball.
doing
'cause
it totally
I
wrong.
try to get up into the air so
No.
much that I end up like kind of falling back.
What?
Yeah.
So I ended up like landing on my tailbone essentially.
So you do this too, Woody?
Yeah.
With sandwich in hand, you go to do the cannonball and you land on your back.
Sandwich in hand, yeah. And I usually, like, I'm not normally cannonballing into like Olympic swimming pools, so I'm usually grazing the bottom a little bit, and it's
Right.
always you back first.
Wait, how are you jumping?
So it's like it's a very deliberate run up. It's a slow run up to get as much height on the leap as possible, and then you go plowing through the surface of the water, and your back hits the ground. Also, I have
That's all cannonball.
I have
I
from
do
the
want to see him do it.
I have from the
Woody,
Mayo
go do a cannonball right now.
into the Clevelander pool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, why not?
Die.
Wow.
The I have from the Mayo Clinic swallowing gum not being harmful. Although chewing
Told
gum is
ya.
designed to be chewed and not swallowed, it generally isn't harmful if swallowed. Folklore suggests that swallowing gum sits in your stomach for 7 years
See?
before it can be
It's real.
digested, but this isn't true.
Oh.
Well, whatever.
you swallow gum-
Everyone knows. Did you really still think it stays in your stomach for
Mayo's
7
overrated.
years?
Yeah. I
Our
did.
bodies digest the most disgusting things that are in all of our food, but I couldn't do gum. Why?
The
'Cause
gum
it
sticks
doesn't
to you. It's
the gum
sticky.
doesn't stay
Yeah.
in your stomach. It moves relatively intact through your digestive system and is excreted in your stool.
7 years later.
Right. I
Yucky.
don't like. where's
Unless
that
you're
from?
going to do,
The
unless you,
Mayo Clinic.
Ah,
No, but they
whatever.
unless you're going to do that
mayonnaise
roller
clinic?
coaster. Yeah. You know, there's a roller coaster in Animal Kingdom that helps you get out kidney stones. What? Yeah.
Stop
It's
it,
the Yeti like mountain one, whatever it's called. Yeah, Everest. Yeah. The movement and the way that it does helps you get some kidney stones out. Look it up. I'm telling you. No, kidney stones. It'll shoot the stone right out. So
Be
maybe
a
if
new
you chose
segment. Look it up. I'm telling you.
No, for real. Look it up. Chris, look it up. You can find it. What do you mean? How do you pass it? Well, yeah. It would be a dry pass.
So Mount Everest makes you pee.
No, dry pass. That one, if we're going to be honest, when you do that, spoiler alert, if you haven't been on the roller coaster, I don't know if you can spoil roller coasters, but if you do that, the part where you go backwards in the circle really fast sometimes is like my double bubble situation and my bread situation where I get like drowsy and I'm like, am I going to like pass out because of like this quick movement going backwards? Also, we haven't addressed this yet and we really should. Kim Kardashian, Pete Wentz.
Oh,
Pete
no,
Davidson?
Pete
Going on there.
Davidson.
Yeah, whatever.
Pete Wentz.
Is that a real thing? I I saw there was a picture on the internet
Define.
of them holding hands on some ride.
They're
Yeah.
on a-
Is that all we have as evidence, or are they actually a thing?
What's happening?
I think that's all we have.
No, that's what I'm saying. What's
Do
happening?
you often
there?
hold hands with someone on a?
If I get nervous?
If it's
Yeah.
scary, I would.
It's a roller
Yeah, but
coaster.
they went to an amusement park as a date, which,
Right.
by the way, like,
Could have been a friendship date.
Yeah,
but
freight.
come
What's
on.
wrong with that, Mike?
No.
If
Not
I
I think
was-
I'm
for-
with Mike. You
if not
kind
for
of
Pete
you would lock
Davidson.
arms if you're just friends. The holding of hands is
No, if I was scared, I would hold hands.
Pete Davidson doesn't play Friends. Okay.
But it's not exactly like they did this incognito. You know, like they got something out of the
It
whole
was
picture
muttered,
and
but-
everything.
I heard Pete Davidson always DTF. It's just what it is.
it's got to be good, right?
What?
His penis?
I mean, just in general, the experience.
Everyone talks about his penis.
Who's everyone? I've never had
No,
a
I've heard-
conversation with
I've
anyone
heard about his
it.
penis.
No,
Nope,
it's-
I've
it's a-
heard.
it's a known thing that he has a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
penis.
The BDE thing started with Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
Because someone said that about him.
Yeah, I know, but tell the people. What's
So
BD?
are you saying that Pete Davidson, if he's holding your hand, has no interest in being your friend? He has interest in...
Pete Davidson is looking for other things.
He has-
SNL
he has no
cast
friends.
members do incredibly well.
It's weird.
Yeah, because of the
Like-
parties.
Is
You're-
it?
You're with somebody the entire week, then you have
Right.
that big release of we did it, we worked so hard, and then we have this
The
big
literal
party.
release.
We have this big party at the end of the week, and
It
then
goes until 3 a.m.
Yes. That's where the shit happens, Whittingham.
I want to go to an SNL rap party so bad. Not with this cast though.
Hmm.
All they did was hold hands on a ride. Like,
Yeah.
we're jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, but what
here.
Mike is saying was
I agree
is
with
Pete
Mike.
Davidson is holding
Come
your
on.
hand for a
But it
reason.
just seems opportunistic to me.
Given
Yes.
what we know about whenever they're
This is for
photographed
attention.
in public with somebody else, that is like shooting 100% from the field.
This is for
Kim
attention.
Kardashian and Pete Davidson, I'm going to say this, have had sex.
Whoa.
All right, you might get sued.
Wow.
Just say allegedly in there somewhere.
Why are you slut shaming Pete Davidson?
crime.
I think they've had sex.
It
There you
needed-
go. Put it
I
on me.
don't.
It needed to
Wow.
be said.
I think they went on a roller coaster.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
think she was scared, and so was he, so they held hands.
Good friend.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow, you don't believe she's really scared there.
I think they rode Space Mountain.
The fingers are interlocked. This is not just like your hands are holding.
Wow,
like,
that is a good
like,
call by
they're
Chris.
interlocked.
Okay. I'm changing my mind. Interlocked fingers,
Mhm.
that's
Different.
different.
They,
Yeah.
That's very intimate.
Mhm.
yeah.
The inside of the finger,
They bumped
very
uglies.
intimate spot.
Yeah.
They bumped uglies. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Say it with me. With
No.
conviction.
Say it, Smetty.
Conviction.
Yeah. You think they're going slow? You think they're playing it slow? You think Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson are slow playing the romance?
I think all they've done so far is interlock fingers.
No, man.
Are you out of your mind?
Nah. maybe
Until I see
reckless-
more evidence.
Maybe reckless of me, but
Until I see more evidence,
I'm going to
just
judge this
saying
book by the cover.
Mike,
I don't know.
how many times does Pete
romantic, but not doing it.
how many times does Pete interlock hands before he's having sex?
Any
Apparently
Anybody-
a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I read the gossip columns.
anybody that I've ever seen Pete Davidson photographed with, he's had sex with, and that includes Pablo Torre.
Wait, why don't we ask Pablo what's going on? Oh, we can't talk to him.
About the penis?
No, I have a bit of a logjam with my ESPN request, so I have to prioritize
I mean, I can't think of anything more important than this.
World Series.
That's over already.
I
Who
will
cares?
No
say
one cares. I mean,
Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson smooched in an SNL skit, but since it's acting, it doesn't count.
But I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't
Didn't look
get
like-
anything from that.
They
Did
didn't have
you guys?
kissing chemistry. They did not
at
have kissing
all.
chemistry.
Not
Right.
at all.
You can tell a lot by that, and yeah, it didn't look like.
It was awkward.
but
Yeah.
one kiss leads to
You can just tell when people
No.
kiss.
No.
You can tell if it's forever when you watch people kiss.
But wasn't the point of the
Yeah.
sketch that
I
like
don't
they
know that
didn't
this is
have
meant to be.
chemistry?
How, Chris?
I think that was the punchline.
No,
Celebrity.
I don't think they're gonna be
God.
together forever.
I don't. Yeah, they're
Kim
not.
Do you
and
think
Pete.
that this is Kim's like response to the Machine Gun Kelly stuff and the Travis
Probably.
Barker and all that?
They both love
Hmm.
big and crazy, Kim and Pete.
Yeah, like
So,
she's like, oh, Courtney.
They might get married and have that.
She's like, oh,
marriage annulled.
Courtney, you want a bad boy? I can get a bad
Did
boy
you see
too.
what Courtney did, by the way?
What?
Courtney didn't seem to be there for Kim's episode, but the next week, Machine Gun Kelly or Travis Barker, whoever was there, and she was there for that.
Machine Gun
Ridiculous.
Kelly is dating Megan Fox.
No, they're the
She's
same.
not in the Kardashian
But
family.
they're
Oh,
always- they're always
yeah.
around.
Great point.
They're the same.
Travis Barker, Machine Gun
The
Kelly,
four of
the
them,
same thing.
I'll
It's
say
the
what Mike
same
said.
thing.
The four of them have had sex together.
Wow.
No, that you have to.
The four of who?
Oh
I'm
my
just-
The four
God.
of who? Give us the four.
They gave
MG,
Pete
MGK,
Wentz,
Right?
Yeah.
Amanda Fox. Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Who's Amanda Fox?
Her sister. And then who the hell's? And then whatever, man. Those 4 people. They've been hanging out together everywhere.
Whatever,
Travis
those 4
Barker,
people.
Kourtney Kardashian,
Right.
Megan Fox, and MJK.
I think
GK. Damn it.
It's like 17 fines right there.
Like 3.
I think they've all had sex together.
I do. After that one,
We
there
can't-
was.
This show's getting ugly.
So
Bleep
Pete Wentz is
all of
like
this out.
Yeah.
Pete
response to it. Davidson, whatever.
Jesus.
Oh my
The
God.
good
Who's
thing
Pete
is,
Wentz?
the good thing is
Pete
Chris.
Wentz was in Fall Out Boy.
That's the guy I told to shut up at the
That's the guy
concert.
with the
yeah.
face. That's the guy with the face.
Yeah, he's
person.
yeah.
The
That's
guy with the
one.
face.
You know.
I would love to see someone try to sue you because I can't even follow. You've gotten so many names wrong that I think you're legally protected.
Pete Wentz is the guy with the face. Everyone knows what we're talking
Also,
about.
the
when we
guy
say that, right?
Who are the 4
Face?
people having sex?
I don't
Why
know.
do you have us in legal peril when there's no crime being committed?
We're
That's the
alleging
only.
things among celebrities. They're very litigious. I
He's
don't.
slandered.
Okay, but like,
They'll
you
sue
can't. You slander someone about crimes.
He slandered Amanda Fox
Yeah, that's true.
He did.
and the guy with the
And
face.
Pete Wentz.
also,
Everyone knows what I mean when I say that.
also, the burden of proof for celebrities with slander is very high.
It's reckless and wait, I forgot it.
Oh, we should have
Reckless
played reckless.
endangerment?
Intentional malice and reckless disregard for the truth. That's the standard.
You know, we have something that actually protects us legally.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
That's
You're
what I'm saying.
all good.
There you go. Everyone's fucking.
He's not a normal guy. Jost is not a normal guy.
Colin Jost.
ScarJo.
ScarJo.
And his
Colin-
brother's on Impractical Jokers, as Tony points out.
He is not even close to as cool as Pete Davidson and Travis Barker. That
So true.
Like you can Jost.
What do you mean?
He's
Oh,
just
Jost.
famous. He's
No,
fine.
Nah,
but
got
he's
that-
not on this level of like these guys just have a vibe.
He's got like a
I
Harvard
disagree.
thing. Women gravitate to the
Harvard
Colin
thing.
Jost type.
But ScarJo. What about
Colin
Keenan?
Jost does not do it for me. Keenan holding Kim Kardashian's hand at a roller coaster would have been a huge shock for me.
Wow.
What are you doing there?
Why?
No, it's because he's married and older, and has never been linked to another celebrity.
What are you doing with Jost, though? Good looking
What?
guy. You
What are
said,
Bill-
you said he
what's
doesn't
Billy
do it
doing
for
with
me.
It's just like a lacrosse bro vibe for me.
Okay,
Just-
I
I
understand
bet
that.
you. Look. We're doing reckless. Sue me, Colin Jost. I think you've played lacrosse.
What's wrong with that?
I'd bet dollars to donuts that you've played lacrosse.
That is offensive.
Yeah.
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah, his brother's like a
Colin Jost's
appendage.
brother is on Impractical
He's an
Jokers?
appendage. Yeah.
Wait a
What's
second.
his first
What?
name?
Casey.
Casey Jost?
Yeah.
Let's
Amanda
see.
Jost.
Yeah, he's like a producer or something. He's on the whole.
Casey Jost.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Never seen this.
I don't believe that his hair is gray.
I agree.
Wow, they
Yeah.
have very tall hair.
Yeah. What are they
Jost
hiding?
Brothers.
Great volume.
Hair.
I just of all the people at the party, I don't know that Colin Jost is the one that I'd be like, let's hang out.
Right. Johansson.
ScarJo.
Yeah. I loved Scarlett Johansson.
You think Kim went to that party?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't
That's
know.
where they. That's where Pete and her met.
No, I don't think so. I think this is for
My
attention.
hall passes have remained the same since I was like a teenager.
Jost has
Just
never played
ScarJo and
lacrosse.
Natalie Portman.
He never played
We will
lacrosse.
stay there.
Jessica Biel.
Tell me you're 35 without telling me you're 35. My hall passes are Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman.
You know what Colin Jost does have?
What?
He has a very punchable face. Like you want to just punch
He
him
does,
right in the
yeah.
fucking mug.
He's said
Yes.
that before.
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
but you
he's
know that if
admitted
you
it.
punch that face, he's suing you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
His lawyers are good. You're
Yeah.
losing that one.
Oh.
Colin Jost does not believe he has a punchable face. He's
No.
been told he has a punchable face, so he has to make fun of himself.
Come on, he has to know.
He has one.
He has to know.
He has one, but I don't. I
knows he
think
has
he's
one.
self-conscious about it. I don't think he's like, yeah. I think he's like, yeah, I have a punchable face
Why was that his voice?
because he's only begrudgingly acknowledging that he has a punchable face. He doesn't believe that.
I dare you to punch my face. That's what he sounds like.
He actually does know it. He admitted it.
He doesn't
Okay,
know
but
it.
he's saying that
Yeah,
because
he's just
so many
saying
people
that.
have probably told him, I have a punchable face.
Yes. He said, I have a punchable face. I know I did.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm just thinking this out now, and like the trend of where the celebrity dating's going. I feel like you know who's primed for like a big celebrity hookup is Steve-O from Jackass. Yeah, he has kind of like that same type vibe, and also like the I was super famous. Like
So Steve-O and
15 years
Chloe?
ago.
Colin Jost has a
Wow.
book called A Very Punchable Face, a memoir. That's what his book is called.
But he's sticking into it, according to Whittingham.
You
He's
think
just
he
sticking
came up with that?
when he's like,
I still don't think
I'm
it's
with you,
a
Dee.
punchable face.
Yeah. Also, like, this is gonna be rude, but like, what do I care about Colin Jost's life that I'm gonna read his memoir?
Right.
What does he have to say?
Don't you only write a memoir when you've actually like finished living or
Yeah.
finished living a stage
You're
of
like
your
a
life?
weekend
Wow.
update
He's
guy.
still in the middle of Saturday Night Live.
I don't like the
once you
weekend
leave,
updates.
once you
yeah.
leave Saturday Night Live, then you can write a memoir.
Where you put the anchors that can't make the 11 o'clock
I feel-
news the weekend.
He's only 39.
I feel like minimum 60 for a memoir, unless you're the president.
No, I think there's some people who have like been through enough life experiences that like I would read their memoir.
Why don't we do this,
Like
guys?
who?
Like Monica Lewinsky, I would read her memoir. She's not
But we're
60.
how old is Jost?
He's 39.
39.
At the age of 39?
That's like Mike writing
when
a
did he
memoir in,
write
like,
it? When did
4
he write it?
years.
Because if it wasn't this
look.
year, then he wrote it like 36.
You have 20
Published
years in the
July.
industry,
Published
Jess.
July of 20.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah, and, and
38.
probably took him like a year to write it.
Greta Thunberg has a book, but it's not. I don't think it's a
That's
memoir.
not a memoir. It's about climate change.
What? His
She
punchable
wrote it all
face
on
is
her
about
own,
climate
too.
change?
No, Greta Thunberg's book is about.
One of us
Oh.
should write a memoir now.
Who?
One of us.
Why don't we guys?
Roy is
guys,
around that age. He should write a memoir.
listen. Everybody.
Wow, that's impressive writing a book at 16.
Guys, everybody listen. Let's do this. And this is going to take a considerable amount of effort and time on our parts. Let's start a book club and start with Colin Jost's book.
I'm in.
How many pages is it?
Doesn't matter. I'm listening.
If
to
it's
it.
over 50,
I
I'm
would
out.
read it on Audible.
Same here.
You're not reading on Audible.
You are.
Don't do this again,
We,
Woody.
we've already talked about this. We'll both remember a book the same way.
I like Billy's idea, though. Book club. I mean, I don't, but I do.
Yeah, you'll have follow through.
I can't think of an idea that's worse for you than a book club.
How about this? I'll give you Seth Wickersham's book. Hey, you listen.
Why?
We
Why
all
that
have,
book?
we all have to listen to it. Ooh, Alice Cooper has a new Audible original.
Well, he's old enough to have a memoir.
Yeah, I will-
Right.
I
That
will
guy's
be
lived.
listening. Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
Who I really am. Words plus music.
Ooh,
adding
I'm
that
gonna
one
read
to
the hell out of that music.
Guys,
Yeah.
just in case anyone was wondering, A Very Punchable Face, a memoir right now on sale on Audible audiobook from $28 to $0.
Well, I have credits on Audible. Hang on. I may add it.
Hmm.
I've got
No, $0.
got
Sounds
4 hours
Zero.
left on Dave Grohl.
How many pages is that?
I think for me or for normal people.
Normal
What, do
people.
you listen to pages faster than others?
Well, yeah, I do.
1.5 times speed.
No, 1.7 Audible.
Wow.
You can't be
Whoa.
absorbing any information.
That's
You're doing
really
it just
fast.
to
He
say that you
retains
did
it better, he says.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I
no,
wanna hear
I don't
it.
know if I can do that. Hang on. Let me pick a book
Colin
that won't get me
Jost-
sued.
Doesn't
Colin Joe's
matter.
book has 94% liked it on Google.
Really?
I can't,
So
I
I
can't,
think we would
pages?
like it.
I can't play you an excerpt from any of the
Does it
books
sound like
that-
this? Is it like
What about
I'm
Kate
reading like this?
Fagan's book?
No, it's
I went to a
never
concert
too
this
bad.
weekend. It was a lot of
She's
fun. I
a
had a couple
metal
beers, and then we added.
Yeah, Kate Fagan's book. Does she have an audit?
I read it on Audible. It was so good. Highly recommend for anyone who
Well,
hasn't,
I don't want to
who
use a
hasn't
credit
read it
for
on
this,
Audible
so
yet.
I hope it's
Well,
included.
do the sample. It's a really good book.
Your brain adjusts though to 1.5 times speed to where it sounds normal.
Yep.
I think Stugotz, when I listen to Stugotz back on the podcast at normal speed,
Mhm.
I think he sounds drunk.
Well, I do.
Like you sound normal to me at 1.5
realized
times
that we
speed.
were destined. It was a sharp turn from seeing him as a big, scary-looking stranger to appreciating the gentle but powerful forward on the basketball team.
This is way too
My
fast.
This is
financial aid job was as a
1.6.
12-hour-per-week assistant to the basketball coach.
That's decent.
And one of Chris's
It's not
jobs was helping
enjoyable
him win.
in any way.
I started
really
always
hope
keeping
her
an eye out
publisher
for
doesn't
new
sue
motivated
us.
other people. I don't remember the exact
You don't think Kate would step in?
In January of 1976.
So, Chris, 1.5 times speed, I sound normal.
Yes.
Put me back to normal, I sound hammered.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, half speed for you.
Which is more enjoyable?
It's weird because when we're in person, when we're in person, I don't hear you as drunk. It's only when I listen back to you on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I think of you in 1.5 times speed.
Okay.
This Seth Wickersham book is 19 hours long.
So it's probably 9 hours at 1.5 speed,
It's a
right?
deep dive.
That
Yeah,
is
2 speed.
crazy. Wait, hang on. Let me see if I did one that was longer. I'm going through my finish.
I think the longest book that I read on Audible was like a David McCullough book. That was like
You didn't read them.
48 hours long. Lasted me a while. And no, because I slept and eat and stopped listening to it. But yeah, that was a long read.
That is nuts. That is longer than 2 of the books that I've read combined. Oh my God, 19 hours. This Alice Cooper one's 2 hours and 9 minutes. I'll get that on the drive home at 1.7. Wow.
Have we agreed on a book? I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing Conjo's memoir.
Yeah.
All right.
Very
When do we have to
punchable
read
face.
it by?
By the 2013 party.
Okay, I can do that.
Who is going to be the celebrity prognosticator this week?
Good question.
Jericho's done.
Already confirmed. Do you want it to be a surprise or do you want to know?
I just want to make sure that we have one.
You
Yeah, it's in
could
the
keep it a
calendar.
surprise from us.
Well,
Here,
on
take a-
name recognition, you may not know who it is. But Dan, you're aware of this person. This person joined one time while you were out. And then when you came back, you mentioned seeing the documentary featuring this person.
It's Bryan Cranston.
Remember when he just showed up
That
that
was-
day with Izzy?
That was wild.
Weird. Yeah.
And
Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah, Benjamin Bratt.
And Dan wasn't here, right?
No, you weren't here. TV wasn't here. It was just the shipping container and Izzy.
But I don't care about Cranston. Dan cares about him deeply. And the day he shows up, it's just Izzy.
It was
Sedano was in too, right? It
Was he? It was so strange. They're like, well, Bryan Cranston is outside in the SUV. He's waiting to see when the interview is, and we're like, come again? What's happening now? And then Benjamin Bratt popped out of the SUV with him, and we didn't have enough microphones in the studio. So then we're crawling around on the outside in the old Fusion set to try to like unplug wires and get another
You
microphone.
guys had no explanation for why they
we
were
still
here.
don't.
No.
We still don't know
Still
how
don't
that
know.
happened.
It was one of those things. Allison was trying to book them, and I guess it never materialized.
No.
but
Well, I mean, it did.
Is
But
it
very
po-
clearly,
is it
but it was
possible-
Somebody made a
one-sided.
mistake.
Like it caught. Yeah.
Allison thought it didn't, but they clearly thought it did.
I asked her
Right.
like, "Hey, because you weren't in, so she wasn't there that day," and I was like, Benjamin Bratt and Bryan Cranston are here. Like, do you know about this?"
Is
and
it
she's
possible
like,
that the car service brought them to the wrong interview? Like, were there other
No.
people
No.
on a
"Well,
set?
there's not a ton of radio shows being done in the Cleveland or on South Beach,
Yeah.
so I don't know where they would have been going."
Do you have a better explanation for why that happened?
Yeah, we were trying to get Bryan Cranston on the show with you. You were out that week, so on our end, it wasn't going to work.
Miscommunication. I
Yeah.
mean, wires got crossed.
Yeah, but they were under that impression. We weren't even on TV that day. So
We pretended we were, though. I'll tell you that much right
Yeah.
now.
So like the real effect
Yeah, just
is-
look right up at that camera. Like, man, that looks like a light, not a camera. No, it's new.
The studio was so dark. Do you still have Bryan Cranston's newspaper back there?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Probably
Bryan Cranston.
valuable.
I think it got. I
Did it
think
get
this is one of the
purged?
things that got purged and us not realizing how valuable it was.
So imagine me trying to communicate to Sedano and Izzy that, hey, real quick, these things happen in live programming. Bryan Cranston and Benjamin Bratt are here. You're down for that, right? And then trying to fill time in a very dark studio because it was not lit for television. Trying to
I wanna ask
avert
him-
my eyes from Benjamin Bratt's skin, which just looked incredible.
Beautiful,
impossible
right?
to do.
He
Yeah.
glows.
Beautiful.
He glows.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on
Real
the
thing.
poll, Guillermo. Does Benjamin Bratt actually glow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very dark, and he was lighting a room up with his mere presence.
So how'd you configure the room? Because there's 3 seats in here. You had Izzy, Sedano, Cranston, and Bratz. What
Yeah.
happened?
It was
there?
awkward.
So
we had
I
to put
brought
someone there.
Izzy,
Yeah.
Izzy came into
He
the
wasn't
studio.
happy about that.
Izzy got ejected from the
Yeah.
main
Oh,
studio.
wow.
What,
Oh,
do you think
shit.
that Benjamin Bratt and Bryan Cranston have ever done something on a lower rung of show business than them coming in here and staring at a darkened Izzy who was only lit by Bratt's teeth?
Yeah.
The whole
Never.
place was lit.
Never.
Teeth and skin, I should
Yeah.
say.
I'm
mean,
sure
it's-
they've done a couple of weird satellite hits when they're sitting in one chair and knocking out 50 in a day. But for them to actually hop in an SUV, get dropped off
So
in this
weird.
alley over here for a TV show that's not on TV that day,
with a host who's
with a
not
host that's
hosting.
not there that day, with a co-host that's not there that day.
How'd the
without-
guys handle it? Like, how did Sedano and
Oh, like
Great.
bros.
Yeah, great.
I would have crumbled.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cranston and Brad were super nice about it.
Did Sedano and Izzy think to themselves that they were on a, because if Benjamin Bratt and Cranston get out of a car to come to your show, you're doing a big show. But if you then walk inside and
Cranston,
no
I
one
mean.
knows it's a show,
It looked
and they're-
abandoned. Yeah. You know how the studio looks like when the TV set was dark at that time? It's bizarre, man. And it was just so funny because there wasn't a guest, still probably isn't a guest that Dan would want to talk to more.
The Cranston.
And not only did he drop out of the sky, he dropped out of the sky in studio, and Dan was like a world away.
Billy, you mentioned The Purge. What else got lost in The Purge? Because I want to talk to Whittingham has just experienced what he believes to be one of life's great purges, one of life's great feelings. But before I get to that,
What did you do? Big poop?
No, last night, better.
Impossible.
I started at
No, not
8
November.
No, not yet begun that.
Wow.
8 p.m.
Okay.
last night.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Good job.
Read what that is on Urban Dictionary.
we'll get to that in a second.
8 p.m. last night. Sat down at the computer. I had some time. The World Series was on. The Heat game was on. I was like, you know what? Tonight's the night. Cleaning through my email.
Oh, my God.
That's a big night.
I started at 13,000 unread emails.
Way to go.
I'm down to 3. And it is
You've read
glorious.
12,000 emails
No, you don't read
yesterday?
most of them are emails from Flanagan's. Let's be honest.
Right.
Promotional
But
emails.
great
Yeah.
email.
You go through them. You're like, why did I keep
I
this
have
in the
those
first
set to
place?
alert.
Well, I also so there's an extra. Like, it takes an extra amount of time because I started to unsubscribe from newsletters and promotional emails that I don't read. That's an extra because the last thing that these companies are preparing for is number 1, someone taking the time to do that. Number 2, it actually working. And so it's this Byzantine. You're going through websites trying to figure out how to unsubscribe from things.
It's a great word. It's a great word. Not a good word. Put it on the poll, Guillermo.
Sounds like a city.
Byzantine. Good word or
Sounds like
great
chocolate.
word?
Yeah, chocolate or toothpaste.
But I unsubscribed from a bunch of things, and now I'm down to 3 unread emails. It is a burden off my.
Why would you stop at 3?
I've had it on
Wow,
a
you're
to-do
almost
list.
there. I mean, finish
Because
it off.
yeah, that's a good point. But there's some things that you've got to keep. So those are ones that I have to keep, but I'm not yet ready to deal with them. I leave them on unread so that I know I still have to deal with this.
And tell us more about the feeling, though. When you were done, how long did it take?
Man, when you're in the ends and you're just like, all right, Nordstrom's. I got like 60 from Nordstrom's.
Wow.
Got to go through them. You know, you're in the O's. You're going through Oculus. You're like,
Wait, you
just go-
alphabetize them?
That's how I deal with them. That's how. I search by sender,
didn't
so
know
I
you could
know
do
how
that.
to. I search by sender. so that I-
Nordstrom, huh? Not Nordstrom Rack.
Yeah.
Not that, Tony.
How long did that take, Whittingham?
It took me a little more than 2 hours, and it's one of those things where you have to have a free night. You have to have time where it's like, I don't need to be doing anything right now because it's a big task. Once you let it build up beyond 100, you're flying.
Billy, what is
That's
your
6,000 emails an hour.
Yeah.
What is that even, like 100 a minute?
Yeah, you're shift clicking all the Miami Herald news updates. There was like 500 of those. There was like 700 emails from Amazon. Shift click those.
Do you feel like a new person today?
I do. But what it requires is I got to start today on keeping this consistent.
You
so like
won't.
all my newsletters, I'm already at like 60 again. And so you've got like every day you got to keep maintaining
But
your email
you
inbox.
Quite popular.
You are radiant today, though. You came in here like an accomplished man. You had a spring.
Can you do mine next?
You had a spring in your step when you came in here. You seem fulfilled. I think we should invent an app and treat this as like a meditation device and create a business around it, because there was during the Heat game yesterday, I saw a commercial for God.
I saw that too. I was like, wow, we're doing this, huh?
A commercial for
Yeah,
God.
it was like come back to the Catholic Church. That's what it was a promotion for.
But before they told
No.
you what it was for,
God needs advertising.
At the very
Turns
end,
out-
they told you that it was for the
God.
Catholic
Tony said
Church.
Lou Holtz is in one of these. But like,
No,
and this is
it-
going to sound bad, but like, is he joining us from next to God, or like, is he still?
Did you just
he was
$50?
canceled.
No, I'm asking. I didn't do it. I'm asking.
No, he was just canceled.
He's
He was
asking.
killed.
Are you asking whether Lou Holtz has died?
I'm just asking if he's
It
speaking
makes
on
you
behalf
wonder.
of God as like.
No, this was a
First-hand
guy, this was a
experience.
young person who was
A
near
testimonial?
a bicycle. Yes, it was a testimonial for God.
I'm gonna talk to you about heaven.
But this is what it was.
It's great.
This is what it was. I was watching.
Great.
I was thinking it, but I couldn't want to.
Yeah. I don't do a Holtz.
You got to be careful with
Yeah.
that.
With all the spit coming out of your mouth, yeah, you gotta be careful.
It's terrific.
It's during
Yeah, what?
COVID.
It's terrific. I don't. You know the Holtz thing.
Do you want to do it?
Oh, I
Is
know
it-
the Holtz thing.
What do you want
That's
to
not
do?
an impediment, is it?
I don't know. I'd be
Google it.
careful.
Better
It's
than
just
not.
saliva.
Google
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
think. No.
Be safe.
You don't want to look
Dentures.
that up.
It's just
No,
saliva.
you don't want to look it up. Let's just make it saliva.
It's dentures, definitely.
Is it dentures?
It's gotta be dentures. He's gotta have loose teeth.
In
Also-
heaven still?
That'd be disappointing. Imagine living your entire earthly existence needing dentures, but believing in the promise that when you get to heaven, you'll have like a fully formed mouth with no need for dentures. And you get there, still dentures. That'd be frustrating.
You are obsessed today with teeth. The veneers. The veneers.
Oh, Freddie Freeman last night? Yeah, that was crazy. That was insane.
What happened?
Couldn't take my eyes off of it. You haven't seen his fake teeth?
No.
Look at it.
They're obviously fake.
Beef. Yeah. Beef.
Freddie Freeman?
Yeah.
How? Fake teeth?
Yeah.
He has teeth?
He does have feet, evidently. Are you ready to read that from Urban Dictionary, or are we going to go to the Lou Holtz testimonial commercial
Yeah,
for
read
God
the
first?
definition of No Nut November.
I thought Gold Bond was like an actual bonding thing. Like I thought maybe he'd use Gold Bond for dentures, but no, it's like foot powder, huh?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of lotions.
lot of uses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe how good
Don't
Whittingham.
vet No Nut
No,
November.
no vetting.
Freddie Freeman, my God. I mean, those are beautiful.
Yes, you can.
Brady doesn't want to read it.
No, there's the last sentence
No
in
way.
the example.
Doesn't matter.
No, I can't say this.
But it's not you saying it.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
It is though.
No.
it's
When
peer
you
pressure.
clip it and save it
it's
for
a
the
quote.
club,
Who
it
would
is me
do
saying
that?
it.
It's a
no
quote.
one.
Oh, that's good.
All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
All right.
No Nut November.
How do you say November?
November.
Okay.
What's the matter?
It sounded like November.
A challenge where a man must not ejaculate, aka bust a nut, for the whole month of November. In context,
Yeah, can you use it in a sentence?
did you fail No Nut November? Hell nah. I ain't fail no nut November. I'm saving this nut for my girl. And there's 4 words left in that sentence that I cannot
No,
bring
no, you
myself to
have
read.
to.
I can't do it.
Don't make him. Do not make
What do
him
you
do
mean?
Check it
this.
out. I trusted Billy's judgment here.
I think it's fine.
Go for it. Yeah, you can say it.
All right.
I don't trust.
Read
Billy,
the whole sentence
You don't-
again, though.
Okay.
No.
Because I
Billy-
forgot how
Billy
the
wouldn't do
sentence
that
started.
to him.
Yeah, you
no.
guys are
Why
setting
is
me up.
Stugotz writing this down?
You guys are setting
you-
me up here.
Start over
Terrible.
again.
Yeah, you need the sentence again.
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot where we were.
Person 1. Did you fail No Nut November? Person 2. Hell nah. I ain't fail No Nut November. I'm saving this nut for my girl on Destroy Dick December.
Right. Yeah. Great month, December.
I have to be honest. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't familiar with Destroy Dick December.
But Billy was right.
I mean,
was-
it should go without saying now.
you shouldn't have read that.
I tried to stop him.
I was chewing on the air. So it's on me. These Ritz,
I'll pick it up right now.
Sargento cheese has they partnered with Ritz crackers, little cheese cracker sandwiches that are
Doing an ad
delightful.
right now.
I'm hopeful they'll come on the air because I really, really love these crackers and cheese. They're fantastic. Sargento. Sargento.
Promo code Stu.
Yeah. Little
gonna
Ritz, little Sargento. You
Discount
want
off
one,
of
Dano?
cheese.
Oh, thank you.
Little pepper jack.
You know what? I don't like pepper jack.
On
I'm not
you.
a fan.
I like pepper jack.
Why?
More for me.
I don't like spicy cheese.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Levitard Show. Do you like pepper jack?
Dan, I'm not very confident in my Lou Holtz. I don't have a Lou Holtz in my locker. You know, it's a lisp. I think I've maybe found something by combining a very salivy Lou Holtz with Randy Newman, and I think I can kind of find the sweet spot.
It was great.
You're getting
it
there.
was a lot.
Yes.
It was
Randy Newman.
It was a lot of
Lou
fun
Holtz.
watching you during the break try to figure out how to do this with your chin is jutted out. I can see it, even though I can see your chin, even though you have a full beard.
Yes. Yeah, it's a team position.
But maybe there's a trigger word, like for your fake Jonathan Zaslow, it's always Corn Elder, right? Or is
That's,
that Joe
Joe
Zagacki?
Zagacki.
Okay, my
Yeah.
bad.
Jonathan Zazzle's awesome. That's always
awesome.
my me.
And Zagacki's Corn
For-
Elder.
For Zagacki, it's Corn Elder or Isuzu.
It gets
Williamson
balanced.
Isuzu.
You need a word.
You
a
need-
sa-
you
a-
need-
you
yes.
need
A calibration.
Yeah.
A saliva
word that
zone.
gets them there.
It's like
Yes.
a level. You need a level.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like
Saliva
a metronome
level.
for me. It's just
Okay.
Isuzu.
Okay, so what,
It gets them there every
do you
time.
have one for Holtz, or you don't?
I've never done a Lou Holtz. I just have to hear Lou Holtz. This is not going to be a very
You
good
need a
Lou Holtz.
windshield in front of you
All
right
right,
now.
it is. It is. When I-
Mr. Pandemic. It's it's not. Keep in mind, while I am admittedly making fun of Lou Holtz,
There's no other way to look at it than that.
I'm not
I'm
trying.
glad
How
you,
are you
I'm
gonna
glad,
rationalize
I'm
it?
glad
I
you
mean-
admitted it because it wasn't clear before you admitted it.
This is just me trying to do as bang on an impression as I can. I'm not making fun of people with the speech impediment. I myself struggle with S's occasionally. So, there.
Was that your I know a black person?
Yeah, I sometimes
Now
overthink
that
an
I
S.
know a
It's
black
Greg
person. I'm-
Cody's No One Supports Tua more
Yeah.
than me.
Yeah, in a Pro 2 column, I admitted that I struggle with S's.
Okay, so all this
Occasionally.
is a commercial for God with somebody who struggles with his S's.
Yeah, but it's also Lou Holtz, so and all that.
Try
encompasses.
Sargento. That might be.
Sargento. Sargento. Love Sargento. Yeah, it was actually a pretty good.
You're welcome.
Wow, Roy, you may want to get out of the splash zone here.
Yeah, get out of the way there, Roy.
I'm
This is
outta
a
here.
COVID. This is we don't want to
I've seen
fracture protocol.
I've seen the commercial in question. I've taken my tips from that, but I don't want to do a word for word thing, so I took some liberties. If I had Lou Holtz, this is what I would write for Lou Holtz. Because remember, we're trying to get people back in on God. Hello. It's me. Former New York Jets head football coach Lou Holtz. I'm coming to you. That's the Randy Newman thing. I'm coming to you on behalf of God. Remember him? That's right. I used a pronoun based off an archaic assumption that us humans understand the genitalia of spiritual beings. Shoo me, snowflake. When I'm not inexplicably on the floor of the RNC with a bottle of Crown Royal,
That's not him.
I'm usually at church. Not sure if you've noticed, but the Catholic Church has taken some public relationships over the last few years. So naturally, I may need water. So naturally,
Hold on, you can take a break. It's okay. We're in the middle of it.
I have Sargento if you need.
Sargento.
He doesn't have water.
I need water. I need Sargento.
If that's not
I have
Stugotz,
Ritz crackers.
that is Stugotz in a nutshell. You need water. He's there with pepper jack cheese
I'm the saltine.
and the saltine.
Yes,
That's
the
right. You
saltine.
need water. Here's a cracker.
Saltine,
Here's
yes.
the
That's a trigger, saltine.
Here's the opposite of water. Here's a saltine. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Is saltine the opposite of water?
It's like seeing saltines in the desert.
All right, so I already mentioned that I was at the floor of the RNC with a bottle of Crown Royal.
Okay.
All right.
Pick it up.
All right. Not sure if you've noticed, but the Catholic Church has taken some public relations hits over the last few.
It's a good sentence for him.
Yes. So naturally, they turned to me to sell you on the joys of adjusting your bony ass on a church pew for 45 minutes. Listen, folks, no matter what your beliefs are, you're going to rely on the Catholic Church at some point. Whether it be a wedding, A baptism for your nephew? Or a funeral? The Catholic Church is as unavoidable as Notre Dame finding its way into the college football playoffs. Despite not being overly impressive during the course of a one-loss season against a questionably soft schedule built on the prestige of rivalries of yesteryear that'll convince you beating USC in 2021 actually means something, only to inevitably lose to Alabama
Wait
by
a
3
minute.
scores and turn
It's
your
a
Rose
weird
Bowl
mix.
game barbecue into a hellscape of bored small talk and bloating from domestic lagers because the Irish couldn't hang for more than a quarter.
Excellent work.
If the last few years have taught
There's
us
more.
anything, it's that atheists love being talked to about religion by an elderly white man with questionable political beliefs. So please, give God a chance. He gave you yours.
That seems very hard to do.
Nearly impossible. You did great.
Yes.
You bounced like in and out of Lou Holtz and Mr. Burns from The Simpsons a bit. Like
There's also just like an old woman named Ethel in there.
And a little bit of Randy Newman.
Can we talk? I want to talk more about the commercial for God, but I think we should be talking about the sports statement in the middle of Lou Holtz's saliva-soaked political and religious statement there.
About
Which-
beating USC in
Notre
2021.
Dame
you
being
got
in
a topic out of that?
Notre Dame being in the top 10. Yes, because that didn't sound like Lou Holtz. That sounded like Mike Ryan. That was not the spirit of Lou Holtz speaking there anymore. That was Mike Ryan infiltrating and contaminating Lou Holtz's commercial for God with a sports statement that he stuck in the middle. Keep your sports away from my politics, would you?
Oh, I've got something on that.
Stugotz, they put Alabama number 2, which is
They should.
No, I know, but it should just basically be the poll. Don't play games. Just what we think is good. Don't play the games.
That's always kind of been its deal, though. They have been pretty good, with a couple of exceptions. They have been pretty good about saying the top 4 is all about who we think are the best 4 teams in the nation.
Now, Cincinnati doesn't have a shot because they were ranked 6 by the committee and being outside the 4. Feinbaum was saying if they were 4th, they likely wouldn't get in. They are 6th. They basically have no shot. I'm not certain they're deserving of a shot. I'm sorry. I know people like to see different teams. They've played absolutely nobody. I have no issue with Cincinnati not getting in.
Well, they beat Notre Dame, though.
I know.
And Notre Dame's not nobody.
At Notre Dame, like when these football schedules, first off, you play who you play, but these football schedules are made years in advance. When Cincinnati schedules at Notre Dame, that is absolutely filled with intention to get into this college football playoff. That is the game that we've been clamoring for UCF to schedule. Go on the road and it's not necessarily Power 5 because they're an independent, but you know what I mean by that. Go on the road against a traditional power and see if you can win one, because that's what it's going to take to make to the college football playoffs. They did that. And Notre Dame, in terms of record, is good this season. So I don't get penalizing them. I really don't. And if you put them at number 6, given their schedule, there's really not much they can do outside of hoping other teams lose. They haven't done the Sal points thing in the last 2 weeks, I guess.
I've told you here, okay, because Mario Cristobal is being talked about as a candidate that you want because he goes into Ohio State and beats Ohio State. And I'm telling you that I don't understand, and no one seems to care, how the hell they lost to Stanford when Stanford's main receiver made me turn off the television when he got hurt because he broke his ankle. And then Stanford's second string quarterback came into the game and Cristobal mismanaged the entire end of that football game. And they lost the game. No penalty for it.
Right.
Cincinnati doesn't lose, beats Notre Dame on the road. No, we just don't think you're that good. And I understand they almost lost to Navy, and Navy's not any good.
Right.
And there was another Tulsa. They were down early and had to struggle late against winning 31-12 this last weekend. But they're playing their schedule, and you're not allowing for another team to get in here other than the teams you already think are good, which makes me ask you, why bother playing the games?
I understand what you're saying, but when you look at Oregon's body of work and you factor in, so they lost to Stanford. They beat Ohio State at Ohio State. That might be the best win of the year, one of the best wins of the year. And then you look at Notre Dame's body of work and you see, hey, they almost lost to Florida State. Like, Like, who do you have more confidence in playing Alabama? Cincinnati or Oregon?
I gotta tell you,
Oregon.
I would argue Cincinnati.
No, Mike,
because
come on.
if I'm looking at this the way that the college football playoff intended, if I'm picking the top 4 teams in the nation, I think it's really close between Oregon and Ohio State, and they each have a loss. If Oregon plays Cincinnati, you can't tell me with certainty who's winning that game. So at that point, the loss to Stanford does matter. I think Cincinnati deserves it based off of they're actually a really good team.
But that loss, I'm not saying it shouldn't matter, but shouldn't beating Tulane 31-12 matter? Shouldn't beating Navy by a touchdown? Shouldn't that factor into the equation? That's why you have a committee.
I'm not holding 31.
So the undefeated teams just don't go in.
Notre Dame barely beat Florida State. Florida State is terrible. Notre Dame barely beat Toledo. Barely beat Toledo. Should have lost at the end of the game.
If Toledo was just wise about clock management, they would have lost at home to Toledo.
But I think this kind of comes back to our understanding of what these rankings are. So I think for a lot of people, these rankings are a collection of resumes, right? Here's what you've done. Where I think, as Mike said, the committee has turned this on his head. They're just saying, who are the 4 best teams? Or who are the best teams? If this team played this team, who would be better? That's why you rank Alabama ahead of unbeaten Michigan State, because you think that they are better. Alabama would have to lose again in order to make you have some shred of doubt. They lost to a good Texas A&M team, and so they just think Alabama is better than Michigan State. And frankly, that's tough to argue.
It is tough to argue. If you took Alabama out, who would you insert in? It would not be Cincinnati. It'd be Oklahoma.
But I wouldn't take Alabama out at this point in the season. I am cool if it's about getting the 4 best teams, which is what they've always hung their hat on when they put in Alabama in the college football playoff that didn't necessarily do all the things Alabama should do to get in there. The argument is we're putting the best teams in the nation in there. And there's going to be a few things that we use and point to as variables while we try to decide, as contributing factors, while we try to decide who the best team is. One of those very simple things is losses. And Oregon has one in the right column, and Ohio State has one in the right column to Oregon. That's why Oregon is ahead of Ohio State.
So head-to-head is important.
No, but it stopped mattering, though. It stopped mattering. We're grading on a different curve based on SEC is tougher. There is no argument to be made that Alabama should be ranked ahead of Michigan State other than I just think Alabama's better. And I'd happen to agree with you.
Yeah,
I mean, Dan, you would have zero confidence in taking Michigan State if they played Alabama.
What I'm saying is the only argument is, well, this is what I think.
Miami played both. Alabama seemed tougher.
And like it's sort of the antithesis of sports. That's why people don't like it. And I agree with them not liking it, because this isn't like, if we ranked NFL teams, you'd put the Chiefs above 4-4 purely because of their previous. They have Patrick Mahomes. They've won a Super Bowl. They went to another. And so you would rank them ahead of, but that's not how the NFL works. We do it based off the merit of that season. And so I do think that this should be a measurement of resumes. And Cincinnati, on the basis of the fact that they're unbeaten and have beaten at least one really good team, should be ahead of Alabama, of Ohio State. This should be a measurement of merit. UTSA being out of the top 25, even though they're unbeaten in the Sun Belt. That's ridiculous.
It is absurd. And all of this, the problem with the college football playoff, I think, has nothing to do with the college football playoff. I think it has solely to do with preseason rankings. It should be totally eliminated, because everything that we do from week 1 on is based off of a template that no one knows what they're doing. The rosters turnover, Michigan State has a roster turnover of 40%.
Good point,
they
Mike.
are a totally different team, but they are at the very start of the season having to climb themselves out of this hole because we've got no idea how to say who's good before we've seen anybody play.
But you say the problem with college football, and I would say to you, what problem? The college football playoff, I would say, what problem? This is a made-for-TV spectacle last night that's just invented for us to talk about it the next day.
Right.
That will be different next week and the week after that as some more of these teams end up losing, and Alabama will lose 14 times and possibly still be in the conversation of us thinking they're the best team in the sport.
The committee knows that, though, right? Like, they know they're putting out their first rankings. They know Michigan State in all likelihood is not going to be there.
What's bad for college football here, because this is a better playoff than ever before, and if we're starting from a point on the day we're celebrating, hey, baseball's champion wasn't actually the best team. Like,
Do you think that this is the best system? Because I actually think because of this system, people are actually looking back more fondly on the BCS, which was ahead of its time, using math and computers. Everyone was saying, those damn computers don't have eyes. They don't see these games. The BCS formula was pretty tried and true.
My problem with
after
it is that by on the basis of I just think they're the best team, you end up picking the same teams. You end up picking Clemson and Alabama every year. And look, they do deserve it, but each season has its own unique character. And so if a team on the basis of their resume doesn't deserve to get in, then they shouldn't. And so I personally do have something of a boredom with the sport because I just know the committee are going to pick Alabama at the end. And look, they should, but it kind of ruins the jeopardy in Alabama maybe losing. It ruins the jeopardy of other teams putting together 12-0 seasons. Is Cincinnati going to do enough? The answer is probably no, because the committee is just going to say, not good enough.
And the reason they argue for the college football playoff remaining at 4 is the regular season matters. I'm like, does it though? Because a 2-loss Alabama is going to find its way into this thing.
If they lose to Georgia, I don't think they get in.
I think they do. I don't trust Oregon to run the table. I don't trust Ohio State to run the table. I don't trust Michigan State to run the table. College football is different. I actually kind of trust Cincinnati to run the table. The problem here with college football is that we're debating 5 and 6 when we really should be debating 12, 13, and 14 because you're really holding out a super good team that has a chance at a title, presumably.
Whittingham says ruins for him. And I would say that argument and debate and not being able to just look something up and have the answer is part of the entertainment business that we work in. And I don't think college football is in any way ruined or harmed. This has been the case for a long time. We have a baseball champion today that is random. A random champion. That's not merit. Now, it'll be held up for all time as they won through the playoffs. Baseball is random. Dodgers and Giants were better teams during the regular season, but this is the measurement system we have. It's an imperfect one. We know it's random. Look at that surprise champion, Atlanta Braves. This is subjective. Yep. All of it. We're talking about this tiny sample of 11 games. Any given day, Alabama can lose to Texas A&M. They can lose in a championship game. They might not be worse. They are the standard.
You say it's subjective, but I think anyone who watches any college football, everyone would put Alabama in their top 4 teams. Anybody. The committee did nothing wrong by putting Alabama in its top 4 teams. They are one of the top 4 teams in the country.
My problem is
you
Oregon.
Can argue, right.
That's
Oregon the problem.
And Ohio State above Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But it's meant to it's meant to keep the power in power.
There's 5 games left, though.
The whole system, but these are also, this is the thing though, Mike. You're clamoring for something that resembles fairness or merit as it relates to Cincinnati Bearcats, but most people listening to this don't want to see the Cincinnati Bearcats in the Final Four.
No. They want to see Alabama.
They don't want it. You guys saw
but most people also can't name a single player on Oregon outside of a defensive line prospect.
I mean, do people not want to see Cincinnati in the Final Four? Do they not want to see them lose by 5 touchdowns to Georgia?
That's what it is.
Most people assume that they're going to lose by 6 touchdowns.
But on
to
the
Georgia.
off chance that it's UCF against Auburn, and I think the most exciting version of college football is when you think the team can't hang, hangs, and it's like, holy shit, this might actually happen.
But I think most people operate under this assumption. The only team that can hang with Alabama this year is Georgia, right? That's the only...
It's an assumption, though.
And
it is an assumption, but I think it's a pretty fair assumption, right?
It's going to be hard.
People are going to invest their time, and they feel like they have a better shot if they're watching Oregon and Alabama of getting a great game than they do if they're watching Cincinnati and Alabama. You run the risk of Alabama and that game being over at halftime.
Right.
And who wants that? Nobody.
I understand why people would think that. And Georgia's a different animal this year. But let's hop in the time machine way back to January of 2021 when Cincinnati was leading in the 4th quarter over the Georgia Bulldogs in the Peach Bowl. It was a 24-21 game. I have very recent evidence to suggest that Cincinnati can hang with Georgia.
You're also underestimating the sheer number of lopsided games that there are in the current format of the college football playoff. Like, how is it any different Cincinnati losing to Georgia than Oklahoma losing to LSU by 5 touchdowns? Clemson losing to Ohio State by 21. Notre Dame losing to Alabama, albeit covering, by 17. I mean, the recent history of the college football playoff is teams getting destroyed because they're not on the level of Alabama and Clemson.
That's the reason that you get parity and need Alabama to lose 2 games and not be in the playoffs so that somebody else has a damn chance.
Right.
So they're viewing reasons to watch because you don't go in with the assumption that Alabama is going to win because they're favored in every game.
There are 2 more chances for Alabama to lose at Auburn, last game of the season, and then the SEC championship game. They could lose one of those 2 games. I don't think they get in if they lose another game.
Yeah.
I just you guys do.
They have
I
LSU.
know.
They have LSU this week too.
Yeah, but
I mean, I look back at that Florida game as something that would boost the credentials of Florida back then. Florida's proved to not be very good, and eking out a win at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, that's not super impressive to me. And all of a sudden, I have a bit more doubt about this Alabama team than I had before because they are not the dominant watermark. Georgia is right now. Georgia, I'm like, I don't know how Clemson kept that to a 1-score game.
Georgia, last I checked, was -110 to win the title.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about blow? Remember when Arkansas went in there with a Wampin and we're going to have out physical you, and we match up physically in terms of size in the trenches as well as anyone in the nation with Georgia. And then they went 3 and out 7 of their 10 possessions.
You know what that is, though? Nobody trusts the Georgia offense and shouldn't. They're trying to hide their offense.
Why would you trust that
Their
offense?
best offense is the defense.
Isn't that your fear when Georgia plays Alabama? Defense good enough to hang, offense can't put up enough points.
Yeah.
Alabama's going to score.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. If Georgia loses, it'll be because a team with a lot of talent that can hang with their sheer size in the trenches, which Alabama is one of a few teams that could do that, can make their offense play a super sloppy game. And it's how Clemson almost got them early in the year. Clemson's offense is bad, but Clemson is a top 3 defense.
Not to put too much of a Chris Cody point on this, but what's wrong with college football? I know you can ask for it to be better. We can always ask for anything to be better, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I would love for the playoffs to be totally merit-based and have 20 teams in it and watch all of that football. But under the construct that you presently have, are a lot of people not interested the way Whittingham is because they don't think that it's fair that Cincinnati's not in the top 4? You see a lot of people less interested in what it is that they're watching because of these clear subjectivities that are silly.
I think people want to know those teams have a chance. They like the novelty. They want to see if Cincinnati can hang with the big boys. I understand all that. I think college football is perfect. I said it for a while. The regular season feels like the postseason. You have games coming up. I mean, they're de facto playoff games. You have Michigan State and Ohio State. You have Michigan, Ohio State. Those games, you have Oklahoma has a couple of big games down the stretch. Those games will feel like play-in games. They will.
Playing games led to the slaughterhouse of Alabama and Georgia. the winners.
I know, but Dan, you get these games that feel like you have to win, and you're not advancing, and you get them in the regular season, and you get them all the time.
And then ultimately, it doesn't necessarily matter if Alabama loses one of those games because we're still going to say Alabama's one of the best 4 teams.
Two of them. Herb Street was saying yesterday as they were announcing all that stuff that there is no way. All of them were saying there is no way that a 2-loss Alabama gets in. And I'm like, bleep off. There isn't. Like, you guys will figure out a way to make this happen in 6 weeks. Yeah. They've missed once. Like, I understand that losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, you cannot make the argument that a 2-loss Alabama should be in the Final Four, but you can't make a good argument for Alabama being 2 right now. Stugotz, you know how insulting that is to Michigan State?
Well, it's the Big Ten.
Or the Big Ten or the rest of the sport, that you don't care whether or not they lose.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You're saying the SEC is so much better than the Big Ten that a loss in the SEC is better than not losing in another conference, in any other conference. That a loss,
I would say, a loss in the SEC is better than a lot of Cincinnati's wins.
But the whole thing is, what I'm saying is, it's all lopsided toward Alabama and the SEC. This is not a merit-based argument anymore. It's not. It's not about merit.
It should be lopsided towards Alabama, though. They've earned that. I mean, Dan, you know Alabama's one of the 4 most talented teams in the country.
It's not the Patriots dynasty.
But if they lose the second game, they won't get in.
Stugotz, you say they've earned it, but let me ask you this. A bounce goes different in the Florida game. They're exactly the same team, but now they've got 2 losses. You would not be here arguing on behalf of Alabama being in the top 4, but you would be arguing that a 2-loss Alabama is as good as anybody in the country, which means why bother playing the games?
I understand.
You say they've earned it. Bryce Young wasn't there last year.
I know, but what you're saying
Bryce
is
Young didn't earn it.
Why should Alabama bother playing the games? They're going to get in regardless. No one else has that margin of error. Like, if Georgia loses the SEC championship game, they're getting in, right? One loss, they'll get in.
Even if they run the table, if they lose to Alabama in the SEC.
But there's not another team that could, like, I'm telling you, if Michigan State loses a single game,
it's likely. They got games,
they're out of it.
They got games against Purdue, which is not easy, Ohio State and Penn State. And the Big Ten championship stands a reason they'll at least lose one.
Dan, I get what you're saying. Ohio State loses a second game, they're out. Any of these teams lose a second game, they're out. Alabama does, except for Alabama.
Well, everybody on the
and I'm okay with that.
Everybody on the ESPN, I am too. Everybody on the ESPN show. I'd be fine if Alabama just wanted to play Alabama every week.
Just give him an automatic bye. I'll watch a spring game.
Billy, your useless sound montage is ready to go. It is delayed by 1 day, and it should never be delayed because it is one of the most popular things that we have around here. I saw that Mike Tomlin, I don't know if this sound is in here, had the quote, Stugotz, because of how much he loves doing the military stuff. We prefer volunteers around here to hostages. I don't even know what the context was that he was saying that, but I just enjoy that he says it. Is Mike Tomlin prominently featured, Billy, in this week's useless sound montage from the NFL?
He is.
Yes. I'm very excited about this. Let's see what we've got here.
We can't worry about anything but us. We're going to chip away. There's no big picture mindset. We got to chip away 1 week at a time.
Every game is critical, especially in your division.
I felt like we had a lot of dog in us today, to be honest.
We say a lot of things, we want to do a lot of things, and then we're unable to execute.
We've talked a lot about it. Today we finally did it.
Just like we're not going to ride high after we beat Baltimore, we're not going to ride low after we lose a game like this.
We're at the halfway point of the season. It's not the end of the season. It's the halfway point.
We are where we are.
Sometimes weeks like last week happen for you to go back and really self-reflect.
Everybody just played a selfless game. Put the collective in front of personal agendas, man, and we fought, particularly with some of the adversity that we faced today, some of which was created by us, some of which was created by me.
I felt like we got out-coached today, we got outplayed, and across the board, and that does. It starts with me, man. It starts with me. It really does.
Third down's a place that you don't want to be in the NFL.
It's very disappointing. It's frustrating.
Every single stadium this year, home and away, I've had issues personally.
I'm disappointed and I'm frustrated, but I'm not discouraged with this football team.
We got to stop making it hard on ourselves. We've got to do our job.
We're kicking ourselves in the foot right now, stubbing our toes. We did what we needed to do to win this football game. We got to find a way to do it earlier.
This is the NFL. You just play, and you play the best that you can play. You do the best that you can do.
We playing to win. The calculated risk taken associated with the pursuit of victory, we do not run away from. We run to.
We just played together and didn't quit.
Look, I don't know. Look, I don't want to make this all about headsets. We have things. I'd say this: whoever's in charge of it, they better fix it fast. Yeah, that's it.
One thing I've learned about Jets fans is they're extremely passionate, and if you're winning, you're a winner, and if you're losing, you're a loser.
Worst word you can use to describe it, you can use to describe it. It was awful.
Well, it's tough when you lose. That's what I'd say.
The results of the game it's still the result.
Margins are tight in this league every week.
We can't make it hard on ourselves, and we can't make the mistakes that we've made.
At the end of the day, I know I'm going to go out there and play my butt off for the guy next to me.
The standings are what they are, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of football out in front of us, and we have to be able to go play.
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? It's not a booster with a big enough blank check. Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? Anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
Legitimately insulted.
I love him. I really do.
I know you've made him better than Belichick because he gives good soundbite.
I mean, he is so good. I don't know what he said. The soundbite before the last soundbite. I have no idea if we can isolate it. What the hell it is he said?
The authority of the mental challenge of taking this on,
running away from something.
He says that with authority.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
It's
like
everything.
Conviction.
So much confidence.
He says everything with authority, as opposed to whoever it was that said kicking ourselves in the foot, stubbing our toes. Who was that, Billy?
That was Baker.
So he meant shooting ourselves in the foot, but said kicking ourselves in the foot, and then just went the extra step of saying, look, I know I'm in the foot region now, stubbing our toes.
Dan Campbell sounds broken.
Oh, my God. So broken. I mean, you lose like that. To the
couple months in Detroit have changed that, man.
We went from biting kneecaps to losing by 5 touchdowns to the Philadelphia
He was
Eagles.
drinking straight from a gas nozzle during the preseason. And now he is crying after games.
He couldn't get enough questions about how big are the coffees you drink.
Bye week, though. That'll fix it.
There was a guy in there who said, we tried to do some things. We tried to, like, it was like things, and we just didn't execute any of it. It was just such an admission of defeat.
That was Jared Goff.
Was
yes.
it?
Yeah.
We wanted to do some things. We wanted to try some things.
Yeah.
Just couldn't
None of
execute
the
it.
things are good in Detroit right now.
It is not quite the feeling of the locker room that I saw. And you guys will laugh at this because I don't know if this was Instagram or TikTok. I don't know if it was a haunted house. But I delighted in the video. Again, I have no idea where it came from, but please tell me you delighted in it the same way. Of a jubilant Saints locker room where Jameis Winston, through nightclub smoke for some reason, is dancing with crutches.
The
and
cinematography on this, Dan.
So goddamn funny. Please tell me where it felt like something I would see at Live at 4 a.m. on one of the giant screens.
So for the last few years now, this has kind of popped on social media. The New Orleans Saints know how to enjoy a victory, and they turn their locker room into a nightclub complete with light machines and fog machines. But the combination of those things and Jameis Winston feeling the victory over his former team whilst on crutches.
Stugotz is just seeing it right now for the first time.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
It's shot beautifully.
It's
really
a flash,
is.
though. It's a perfect amount of Jameis there. Like, there's happy Jameis. He's clearly crippled, but he's still happy. Let's move on to other things.
I'm not sure it's the eyes, but he's got a je ne sais quoi around him that is just, this guy's kind of goofy, right? He can make me laugh by doing routine things. His eyes pop. He's kind of corny. And in just a half second of screen time, he somehow conveys all of that and over delivers.
Have you ever wondered if like someone's exacerbating their injury? Because we've seen people with ACL, so because he has an ACL and an MCL. I wonder if it was just the ACL before,
you worried
and it's
for
the
him?
MCL. Yeah, I was. He's dancing like there's some movement in the knee.
You were saying
there was a second ligament that went because of the dancing.
Less joy, Jameis. Why are you so happy? Please take care of it. For me, Mike says it's the eyes because his argument the week before on the sidelines was great when his receiver yelled back at him and his eyes swelled up. But you can't do comedy better than him waving around one of the crutches. I was disoriented by what it is, Stugotz, that I was watching because I'm like, where is this being shot? By whom? Why is Jameis so happy? And that's just simply a regular season game against Brady. Brady's entire life has been spent in that joyful space of getting to feel whatever Jameis Winston got to feel with crutches for a second in the middle of the smoke machine. Because, Stugotz, the end of that game, the thing that's lost and everyone assuming Brady was just going to come back at the end of that game, just assuming that victory would be his because it always is, and being stunned, right? We're all a little stunned at this point in a game-winning drive or any drive when Brady gets intercepted, correct?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So it's not just that he failed, but to me, what was interesting about that play, it was a good throw. Like it was a great throw. He just didn't account for a safety being ballsy enough to not be threatened by Godwin over the top to finish the game.
Correct. Yes.
Like that. He did not account for a safety being ballsy enough to say, I don't care that you're Tom Brady. I'm going to cut this route because the throw was perfectly made. He just didn't think for a moment, wait a minute, I'm Tom Brady. There's no way that a safety isn't going to respect that I'm going to end the game on one throw. He's not going to jump the route. It did not cross Brady's mind that a human being would be there.
That's because there never is one.
Why should it? Right? It didn't cross our mind that he would be there either.
Yeah, but the Saints defense is really good, man.
I just think that it's interesting that the difference between winning and losing, even for a champion like that, is one throw that was perfectly made that he simply did not account. Because honest to God, Stugotz, that is a ball that gets dropped so often for him.
Yes.
That is a play that so often doesn't get made because it's him. Because they have the same fear and respect in their secondary that we do on our television.
Because there's no one there. I mean, headed into that throw, he was 28 of 39 for 375 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I mean, and then he made that final pick. So, but he expects no one to be there, and usually there's no one there. And that time there was.
We expect no one to be there. It's not just him. It's everyone playing the sport against him. And look at the jubilance it causes when you give him his second loss of the season. Jameis Winston is done for the year.
Revenge game for Jameis.
Well, Jameis is dancing like that because he's like, God damn it. I threw 30 interceptions for that team and we went 7-9. And now this person wins a championship with it, and I'm out for the year. And I was going to try and 13-10 my way to the Super Bowl.
He wasn't even the one that won the game, though. Like that, the other disappointing part is it's Trevor Siemian who did that.
Yeah. Yep.
He didn't even get the glory.
Brady lost to Trevor Siemian.
He's got some crazy losses in it, didn't he?
Football.
He lost to Brock Osweiler once, didn't he?
And this is why Deshaun Watson remains in the conversation after the trade deadline. I was surprised. I don't know if you were, Stugotz. I was surprised that Odell Beckham wasn't traded. I was surprised that Green Bay didn't do something for Aaron Rodgers with Odell Beckham. That seemed like...
I mean, maybe they tried, right? Just couldn't get it done.
Well, you should make sure that whatever you got a mortgage for this season of Aaron Rodgers, if what you're doing is convincing him that the next 3 or 4 seasons are to be spent in that uniform, you've got to do as much as you can.
That would be less time for Randall Cobb, though. I mean, he loves throwing the Cobb. He does.
He does love throwing the Cobb. I was surprised Julio Jones didn't end up there. I'm surprised that Beckham wasn't moved yesterday.
How much would you give up, though, to like improve things for Aaron if there's this understanding that he's going to be gone? Like, why would you mortgage your future?
Well, no, but
I think that's how they're operating.
I'm assuming that there's some way. I'm not assuming that he's gone, but you might be right. They might know that he is gone. I've been led to assume that if they win the championship this year, somehow this can be reconciled.
I think they are assuming, Dan, and they would know better than anyone, that Aaron's going to leave regardless of how this season plays out. So why spend any draft capital, anything, to improve a team that's already good, that has a good defense, that is 7-1, that is relatively healthy? Why give up anything to get anyone?
Well, especially pieces if you're like not convinced on Jordan Love, right? And you may need a quarterback.
There's also an issue with Odell Beckham yesterday with getting traded. His value is very difficult to sort out because of the amount of money he has left on his contract and how much money you'd have to clear out. Trading in the NFL is really hard because of you inhabiting an entire player's contract, having to pay out some signing bonus up front. The Browns would have to agree to pay some of that in order to get off of Odell Beckham. As crazy as that sounds, they would have to be, in order to get a higher draft pick, would have to, like, I'm going to eat $10 million to give you Odell Beckham.
How'd you guys feel about his dad taking to Instagram to point out all the times that Odell is open and Baker doesn't get him the ball?
Well, LeBron, too. LeBron went to bat for him on Twitter.
But I think you want LeBron going to bat for you. I'm not certain you want the parents involved. It's embarrassing. I mean, it is. Is it not? I mean, you don't want your dad speaking on your behalf. Like, Dad, what are you doing? Knock it off.
Look at who you're talking to, Stugotz.
How'd you guys feel about Odell's dad putting up like an illustration on social media showing all the times that Odell's open, that Baker's not getting him the ball?
In a classically dad way as well.
I know.
Getting a screen grab of a YouTube video, then going it sideways and posting a video on Instagram of a sideways video vertically. So you have to tilt your phone sideways to watch
perfect. Yes, I know LeBron came to his defense too on social media.
Not like an offensive yesterday.
No, but you want LeBron doing that. I'm not certain you want
he's
Dad
a Browns
getting.
fan.
Yeah, I'm not certain. No, he's not. I'm not certain you want Dad getting involved in your business.
No, he's not.
He's a fan of whoever he feels like being a fan of.
Yeah.
Enough. I mean, enough of him and his fandom. I'm more interested in your reaction. Like, You don't want one of your parents doing that for you, right? Like taking care of your business. Really?
Yeah, no, it was great. You didn't like it? You know he doesn't want to be there, but he can't say that he doesn't want to be there. So then he has his dad doing. He's like, "Oh, crazy dad's just doing this thing." I wouldn't tell him to do that, but he told all his friends to do it. You didn't think it was great? He doesn't want him there. Do you think Baker wants him there? Baker doesn't want him there. He doesn't want to deal with that headache of Baker doesn't like him. He doesn't like Baker. No one wants him there. Why is he still there? Just let him go. Let him fly free.
Contracts.
I mean, I think they all want it to work, but
nah, not anymore.
Not Baker.
I mean, what Odell's dad was doing yesterday was certainly not helping. It's certainly not helping. By the way, I also like him just putting it out there, aggregating it as if he's got the key to NFL films.
Like he put it together.
Do me a favor. We shouldn't have access to the all 22 cams. I'm just saying that right now. We don't know what the bleep is going on. We don't know about assignment football. We don't know when something goes wrong and there's a communication breakdown. And we certainly shouldn't be putting stills out there as they're frozen in time without. If we're doing that, you should have Jadeveon Clowney try to chase you down for a sack while you give your take on this screen cap of the all 22, where you don't know jack shit about jack shit.
His dad knows.
I think it's perfect that the way that we cover this, because we don't know jack shit about jack shit. Jack shit's a linebacker, by the way, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because we don't know anything about what it is that we're watching here, I love that we just descend into what do you think about dad trying to get Odell traded by putting up a video of all the times. Now, Pro Football Focus does say that Odell is open all the time.
Yeah,
but it means more coming from dad.
Well, more people are seeing it, I think, coming from dad.
He's not open all the time, but there have been certainly games that they don't look his way, and that's very frustrating because when in his rookie season and at times last season, Baker was so good throwing deep, and that part of our game has disappeared. I'm a Browns fan. I just get really frustrated when people matter-of-factly say it's a Baker problem, and they just absolve Odell. When we go through his stats, you would say that he hasn't had a good year in Cleveland at any point during his tenure.
I can't remember.
His first season.
I can't remember.
No, his first year was viewed as a disappointment, even though he was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Okay.
I cannot remember Odell Beckham having a 100-yard game there. Now, I'm sure he's had a couple. But
He had a Monday nighter, like the third game, where he took like a screen pass or a slant.
That was his big
Yeah,
moment.
it was a sluggo, and he went like 87 yards with it, which we haven't seen. And that was like the route that he ran all the time.
I love a
in New
sluggo.
York.
I do.
Yeah.
Sluggo, good jargon, so you sound like you know what you're talking about.
It's a good route.
Yeah,
I like that route.
It's actually a Chris Cody trick. Slant and go, you combine the word sluggo. So
Using a Madden.
Odell hasn't been the Odell we always think he is when we still talk about him since 2016. It's a very long time ago.
Well,
the dominant force that would take over games, 2016 was the last time we saw Odell the way that we're used to.
So his Pro Football Focus grade in 2018 was the second best of his career. It's actually better than 16 and 15. So he's been that player. But if you look at his, and they try to isolate performance, his isolated performance has gone significantly down in Cleveland. He was at a 90 grade in 2018. His last 3 years have been 69, 75, 66.
The target, everyone says they need to get, Baker needs to get Odell involved. Odell needs to be more involved. No one has more targets in this offense than Odell Beckham Jr. He's got 34, and that's with him missing the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah, but they're all sailing over his head. I mean,
you could say that, and Baker has not been good while targeting Odell. Here's some damning stats. Since trading for Odell Beckham Jr., Cleveland, you would think all this firepower. The public loves betting on them. Third worst team against the spread. That is not common for a team that made the playoffs last year and won a playoff game. Baker, when targeting Odell, has a QBR of 58. That's the 57th best quarterback rating while targeting a receiver. That's really bad. A completion percentage of 55. This was a player that throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, we were marveling at his accuracy and his deep ball accuracy. That's good for 59th in the league. He is off target, Baker is, 27% of the time when targeting Odell Beckham Jr. Now that is certainly, you hear that stat and you're like, that's all on Baker. And I understand that. I'm telling you, as someone that watches the games, there is more to it. And also, you're working off the assumption that if Baker does indeed target Odell Beckham Jr. on one of these videos, that he is wide open. Odell Beckham Jr. will catch the damn thing.
Stugotz is pointing at a screen that's in here and laughing. What are you laughing at? As Billy drops his head into his hands for some reason that I don't know. What is happening on the TV screen?
They're showing what his dad put up there, and LeBron backed it up. I mean, Baker is back there. He's got time to set his feet. Odell is wide open 7 yards down the field.
No.
Baker not even looking at him.
No. Odell is wide open 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and Baker is looking down the field at a deeper read there.
Right.
This is why we shouldn't have all 22. You're a moron if in that instant you're like, take the underneath route on a 2nd and goddamn 10. Baker's looking down the field. I want Baker to do that more. The Browns run 12 and 13 personnel. Do you know what that is? As we talk about Sluggo, that means they run 2 and 3 tight end sets more than anybody else in the league. This is not an offense that focuses and highlights wide receivers. It's an offense that is built around tight ends.
Can I be okay with parents and just parents having access to all 22? I mean, come on.
Yes, put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Batard Show. Are you okay with parents and just parents having access to all 22? Billy, I don't know whether you were upset because Mike was descending into Browns talk again or because we haven't talked trampoline advancements yet today and you were all gung-ho about those. I couldn't tell behind the mask what it is that was bothering you.
Neither of them, Dan. I was dealing with some BTS, that's behind the scenes stupidity business. So.
And that often just makes your head go into your head?
Yeah, sometimes. By the way, new episode out today if you want to catch it.
Thank
GSP tells us what it's like to celebrate Christmas at Sylvester Stallone's house.
Yeah, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, correct?
Yeah, that was just to watch a fight. Spoiler alert, Sylvester Stallone may have a sibling who wants to teach GSP how he should be fighting. Won't tell you which one.
It's Frank.
He'll also tell you how long it will take to kill Billy Gill.
I mean, don't tell him everything, Stugotz. So there's no need to listen.
Well, no, you have to listen to see how long it will take him. I mean,
I can
a javelin.
I can hear the audience also getting bored with Odell Beckham Jr. talk because it's been 3 years now with it. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers because we don't annoy people when we talk about him on this show. Aaron Rodgers is unvaccinated.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is unvaccinated, and that is why he got COVID in part. Now, there are breakthrough cases, but that is why it is a certainty that he will miss this game. That's big breaking news in the NFL, that he's out against the Kansas City Chiefs. He caught COVID-19, something that can happen when you're vaccinated, but the minimum amount of games, he could still test negative and be on the field if he were vaccinated. But he is unvaccinated. That is courtesy of Ian Rappaport, who broke that story. That is hugely disappointing. Hugely
surprising, yeah.
Not so surprising. If you piece together some of the language he's been using, some of the whole free speak, the free thinker type of movement, using woke negatively in the context that he applied it, there's a lot of buzzwords that he was using there that made me think this was a possibility. But just from a team perspective, I don't get the notion in that locker room of someone being so anti-vax when this is a big game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The NFC is a rock fight right now. You have a bunch of one-loss teams out there. Home field is going to matter in the postseason, and now he's unavailable for his team, and we still don't get to see Rodgers Mahomes. The last goddamn time this happened, I saw Matt Moore out there. We were supposed to see Mahomes and Rodgers, and God damn you, Aaron.
I am surprised that the first place that you ended up in the surprise to me that Aaron Rodgers was unvaccinated is how it affects your football, how it affects the Kansas City
You're not
Chiefs
pissed off?
game.
You're not pissed off?
Not about Aaron.
I was looking forward to Mahomes Rodgers.
I'm pissed off, but I feel a bit betrayed. It's not even about the football for me. It's just I did not think that Aaron Rodgers would be unvaccinated. That's not everybody who's been like that, whether it's Kirk Cousins or even LeBron James or Kyrie Irving, they're not hiding it. Like they're not hiding in the shadows of not wanting to be.
But like, don't you have to Don't you have to wear a mask on the sidelines if you're unvaccinated?
You have to be like Carson Wentz, after the post game, he does a handshake and he wears a mask.
But how come we haven't seen that then with Aaron?
Is
there like special dispensation because he's Aaron Rodgers? Like we don't want this out there.
COVID won't dare come after me.
He better sign with Denver next year. I got to see Mahomes Rodgers before he retires. God damn it.
This is part of the tank. Billy and I were trying to tell you.
No, you weren't trying to say this.
But Dan, like, this has been an interesting one because you do kind of associate anti-vax with like a certain I don't need to respect the opinion of these people, but for me, like Aaron Rodgers is in that realm of like, oh no, like I want to listen to some of what Kyrie Irving has to say, to some of what LeBron James has to say, and being on this side of the issue on the vaccine it kind of sucks. That like you think that you could have like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers is conscientious, he wouldn't be anti-vax, and then here he is missing a big game.
For me, though, the disappointment is manifold, right? Because to me, it's not even just that he was unvaccinated. It was unvaccinated and kind of hiding it, right? Like not wanting to be out there with an opinion. This is the way we learn it through an Ian Rappaport report. And I suppose the way to look at this is that he's denying you football games and not being a good teammate because Kirk Cousins, we were talking about this when it was Kirk Cousins, we were talking about, really, you're going to go through this team meetings and plexiglass? Like what kind of things have the Green Bay Packers have had to do to not only accommodate Aaron Rodgers? Are we sure? We're sure it's true, right? And Ian Rappaport report here isn't going to be wrong.
NFL. No, he's very reputable. He's not getting this one wrong. This is what it is. When it was reported with fact that he is out, that signaled something.
But
he's not going to get his game checked.
But people asked him back in August if he was vaccinated, and he would say yes. Aaron would. It's confusing.
So
he was lying.
Okay, but this is the part. So there are two parts of this.
Someone's lying. It's either Aaron Rodgers back in August or Ian Rappaport now. He could retract. He could be wrong. That is hugely shocking. They were even last week because Green Bay dealt with this for a big Thursday night game. They had a huge win at Arizona without Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is vaccinated. Lazard also got COVID. He was unvaccinated. He didn't get his game check. Devontae Adams did.
There are different rules for the vaccinated and the unvaccinated in that league. I feel somebody's wrong. And I'd like some more information before we form all of our opinions here on who's wrong and how they're wrong, especially on this subject matter.
There's been a follow-up, too, from Ian Rappaport. He says the Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers was quoted as saying he's been, quote, immunized by the letter of the law in the NFL that does not equal vaccinated.
The quote was immunized?
It means he's had COVID before.
Okay, so it wasn't him saying that.
Which is why Lamar Jackson's would argue that too, and he wears the mask post game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. Aaron Rodgers. Ooh.
Lamar Jackson.
This is such a bad look for Aaron Rodgers.
Lamar Jackson has gotten it twice, correct?
Yeah, at least twice. What are you doing at that party during a COVID outbreak, Aaron, without a mask?
He's being John Wick. John Wick's not going to wear a mask.
What are you doing, dude?
You're disappointed, huh?
I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very disappointed in Aaron Rodgers. Not just because I wanted to see Mahomes in a Chiefs uniform against Aaron Rodgers in a Packers uniform. Wanted to see that.
Yeah, he's getting clobbered right now on social media.
But how
lying about being vaccinated, right?
Why would you lie?
But that immunized is not that is sort of a gray area. You could.
That means he got it.
It's playing with semantics, though.
He's been immunized for measles rather than COVID-19.
This is so disappointing.
Big opportunity for Jordan Love, though.
This is actually
a
hugely important development, not just for him, but for the Kansas City Chiefs too. They were a home dog. And they were a home dog when news of this broke, and your boy locked it in. Thank you, friends at DraftKings.
Speaking of, since we're going back and forth talking about who's lying, who's not lying.
Your boy locked it in. I mean, what a douchey sentence.
Couldn't have run to the app fast enough. Him and I were like, did you get it? Did you get it? Woo!
Woo! Now I'm still terrified of how bad Patrick Mahomes has looked.
Stugotz, who is lying here? Because we have another story involving quarterback and controversy, and it would appear that someone's not telling the truth. So you have Tony Buzbee, the attorney for Deshaun Watson, talking about...
The attorney for the women accusing Deshaun Watson.
Forgive me. Thank you. Yes, for the victims or the alleged victims on the Deshaun Watson story, quoted as saying the following. Everyone was different, but there were some instances on a non-disclosure agreement. He's talking about the teams that were trying to trade for Deshaun Watson and contacting him or the people around him. I don't care if he gets traded or not. It's really not my thing. Obviously, there was a lot of effort on their part, meaning the Dolphins he's talking about here, to get the case settled so there could be a trade, apparently. I'm assuming at some point that will come about again. Time is on my side. I'm just going to continue to pursue the case, continue to do my due diligence on the case, and start preparing the case for hopefully a trial. The next significant event, I believe, will be February when we have the opportunity to take Mr. Watson's deposition. He also said Miami or Houston or wherever he goes, it doesn't change our case. Bottom line was apparently at some point the Dolphins wanted 22 settlements. I made it clear after talking to my clients that that wasn't going to happen, and then they lowered that number. I made that clear that that wasn't going to happen. Watson's team was trying to sell the Dolphins on some lower number, and I think that never came to pass. And then the question was asked, what about the non-disclosure agreements your clients were asked to sign? Quote, I don't know if it came from Watson or if it came from the Dolphins. I don't know where it came from, but there was an insistence of a very, very robust non-disclosure agreement, and we pushed back on that very hard. For some of the women, that was the deal breaker. On other women, it was the compensation. Obviously, this is going to land on the Dolphins in a way that is ugly. The idea that you would want to protect your image and throw money and non-disclosure agreements on possible crimes.
We need a quarterback. Get this thing settled. Right.
And get this thing settled in a way that the attorney for the victims is saying that they were very proactive about. And so Adam Beasley of the Pro Football Network is quoting Chris Grier, the general manager of the Dolphins, on some of this stuff. And the quotes are, it's my job as GM to always investigate every avenue. We've done that from day one. There was no mandate from anyone. We're doing background work and investigating everything. Just because you do that doesn't mean you'll do a deal. This is a unique situation. On Busbee's suggestion, the team wanted the accusers to sign an NDA. Absolutely ridiculous and categorically false. Categorically false. That pisses me off. Grier said that 90% of the stories that came out during the saga were false, and he added that he felt good about the team's communication with the organization. And then when a woman asked him the question of if they addressed the potential of a trade with women in the organization, Grier said, we never got to a point where anything was close to happening, but said that they would have if they were close to something happening. So what happened here? What do you guys
Well, I don't believe him.
I don't believe Grier.
I don't believe him.
I can't believe I'm believing an attorney, but I do not believe Grier here.
I believe there are several reputable reporters that have been reporting for months about the Miami Dolphins' interests and how close they were. I just can't believe how badly they botched this, because there are certain things that the Miami Dolphins were surprised over in the very late stages of this proposed deal that should have been item number one before you throw your locker room into upheaval, before you mess with the confidence of your young quarterback, before you drag his name out in trade rumors and him worrying about his job security, before you do this to your head football coach and he has to field the questions. If you're Stephen Ross, the owner, driving this, you don't have to answer to the reporters. He's got to navigate that. There are so many obvious things that are, number one, with a bullet here that astonishingly came up very late in the stages. And I'd like to say I'm surprised, but it's the Dolphins. So I'm not.
The reporting on it was that the deal fell apart because the asking price fell apart as the Dolphins were asking about non-disclosure agreements and his part of the case being settled. But Mike, when you say the Dolphins botched this, is there a way to do this particular thing with this particular interest and not botch it?
Just wait.
Right. I think that's an excellent point, Dan, because probably not. But I would say their priorities in terms of discovery and finding out, just when you're acquiring a player, you want to see if that player is going to play for you, right? You do this with an injury, and you're certainly going to do this with legal matters.
But Mike, this
you
feels
know.
gross. I mean, if
I mean,
this report is
the whole
true,
thing feels
just,
gross.
just
It all
acquiring
feels
someone
gross,
that's
but the
alleged
Dolphin-
of 22 different acts of sexual assault.
but the Dolphins trying to, according to this report, pressure an attorney and victims, alleged victims, to rush to some sort of settlement so they can get themselves a quarterback. It's disgusting.
Yeah, the rushing to the settlement thing, if true, that is really bad.
Well, and to beat the other 30 teams. I mean, that's essentially what this is
That's
about.
what the urgency is.
Can we get the resolution on this? Because if Deshaun Watson does settle and all this is clear, and then you know his future going forward, then you're going to have more teams that are involved in the trade negotiations at that point. One would presume, as long as he gets cleared. But the Dolphins are trying to get there before that is known by everyone, so their market is expanded. They're trying to squeeze the Texans for less here, which is even more gross.
But it's even more complicated because it doesn't necessarily just go away. Well, it stands to reason that it would go away if he settles a civil suit, but there are crimes he may be indicted.
Criminal. That's correct.
Yeah,
there's
the
a whole nother
FBI was
layer.
talking
Yes.
to him, so you don't know exactly how far this goes.
As I'm watching the reporting on this, Stugotz, the idea that you come out now after the trade deadline and he's going to spend the rest of the season there, and now you're indignant with how categorically false all this stuff is.
Right.
Like, it wasn't
They
categorically
had-
false all the other times that it had made an appearance here in the reporting before this.
And
Like
it wouldn't have
No,
been
but
if
they-
you could have
but-
pressured
but if
them
it was-
to
There
get
was
the
a lot of
settlements.
denials, though, Dan. There was a lot of denials, and we were all like, bullshit. We know what you're doing out there. I don't really I don't know what the other move is here other than honesty, but the honesty, it buys them nothing. It buys them nothing. They'd rather have this conversation going on than us having the facts in hand of exactly how they went about doing this.
That
Because now it's all
small-
just conjecture. He said.
That small sliver of doubt you're saying is worth it.
David Sampson told us.
Yeah.
David
Benefit of
Sampson
the doubt.
told us that if a team was interested in actually trading for this kind of problem, it would have to, as a duty and a responsibility, reach out to all of the legal people to figure out, is he going to play or not? What can we do? If you're interested in taking whatever heat comes from your interest, you have to talk to all of these people, Stugotz, and see, how do we fix this?
You can recognize how serious the situation is and just let it play out.
But the problem is the initial
And if it
interest.
plays out, we're
but
just showing- I know the
it's
initial
too-
interest,
it's
I
easy
know.
to say that now, Stugotz. We've
It
been
is.
talking about this for months. No,
Right.
that's not what was happening here. What was happening here is the Miami Dolphins were interested. And if you're interested, you have to pursue all of these legal angles. The problem is with their interests, Stugotz.
Right up to the grossest angle, though?
You say, look, I am not defending this. It's a terrible behavior. Never mind terrible look. Too much gets filed under terrible look. It's a terrible behavior, but it's also showing you how cutthroat these competitions are around the desperate who don't have a quarterback and need to win. Like, there's no one, I don't think that there's anyone who can or would defend the idea of the Dolphins checking in on the non-disclosure agreements to make sure that more information about their new quarterback doesn't get to us under any circumstance. I think everybody would agree that that's ugly. Even Chris Greer, who's saying in the sternest terms possible, right? Because he didn't say categorically false about anything else.
He's saying it didn't happen.
He's saying that thing is so bad that I have to reject it as ridiculous and categorically false. But what I'm saying to you is, once you get to the point of not finding it ridiculous that you're interested in the first place, the next steps on that and what has to be done, not so ridiculous, Stugotz. You know, like once
you're there,
once you've
right.
said, I'm going to get this kind of dirty,
You got to follow through, I guess.
I'm not telling you got to follow through, but I'm saying once you've made the immoral decision, you should know something about this. You should know something about this.
I'm an expert.
You can't backtrack. You got to like double down on if you're going to do the unseemly thing, do the unseemly thing. Don't try and do the unseemly thing and then make it look like it wasn't an unseemly thing.
Yeah, but on this road of unseemly things, I'd like to think that I would stop at the grossest thing on the road. Like I wouldn't go forward once I saw it.
Isn't interest in Deshaun Watson, given what he's accused of, that? Like, aren't you already there?
I think trying to rush accusers to some sort of settlement so you can get a quarterback that's the grossest thing.
It's pretty gross.
I mean,
it's pretty indisputably gross. I need a quarterback. I've got a GM in trouble and my owner's old. How do I get these victims to stay silent with their victimhood? It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah. I think the NDA, it feels gross, but that's standard protocol. The rush to a settlement to me is what really sticks out. If that's true, that is in a very ugly situation that makes us all squirm. That one in particular is super cringy.
Mike, the idea that victims would be subject to the NFL's trade deadline. That's
but you're saying like once you're in the bank and you decide to rob the bank, you rob the bank at all costs.
The
is
NFL
that kind of what you're saying?
An arms race with David Tepper's Carolina Panthers.
Please, dear God, stop trying to put on me
like the ex-president.
That I am saying that they had to do this. What I'm saying is once they decide that they're interested, this is what interest looks like. This is what I am saying to you. Stop trying to put on me.
I'm sorry.
You've done it like 5 times this segment.
Right.
What you're saying, Dan,
doing it.
You're rubbing your arm.
Like, please stop putting that on me. Well, but why are you doing that to me
like
again and
pacifying
again?
yourself.
Like, why again and again are you trying to put this terrible thing on me?
I just wanted to get to the ex-president's Point Break. I mean,
so you were just setting up the joke, okay? Your big long play on this, on the Deshaun Watson
I
story.
don't have long plays.
Please, your big.
Everything's a short
Your
play.
vision on this is I just want to get to the scene in Point Break where the dead presidents are robbing the bank.
That's the ex-presidents. That's a fine.
This is what you thought would be the way to handle the Deshaun Watson discussion. I just want to be clear.
It's an analogy. That's all I was saying. I used a road and then a bank, and then things happen.
Which bank?
Things happen.
Which one in terms of the movie? Was it the one at the very end where Johnny Utah shoots the cop?
Yeah, they stayed a little too long, right?
I mean, what a bad cop Johnny Utah.
They went away from their plan,
So
right?
much blood on his hands.
You never go to the vaults.
No, and it
Right.
is a fine for dead presidents because one of them was Reagan, who was alive at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
It's $25.
It's not a $25 fine.
No,
it is a $1 fine.
It's fine.
It's a $1 fine.
Yeah, Jimmy
calling
Carter's
the
still with us.
ex-presidents the dead presidents. Jimmy Carter is still with us at 90. What is it, 96?
No, like he's been sitting out some events. I'm T's and P's over to Jimmy Carter, but he's still with us right now. I feel confident in this.
Yeah,
I'm like a dog with a bone on this one.
Check on it.
Come on.
He's not dead yet.
Come on.
No, he's still
with us.
alive. He's still alive.
You know this?
Yes, I know.
Way
he's
to go,
still
JC.
alive. Yes, yes.
Still alive. Yeah.
Billy, who did you kill earlier?
Me?
Lou Holtz.
I did not.
Yeah.
No, I
You
didn't.
phrase it in the form of a question.
Yeah, Jeopardy.
I'm still alive. Still standing. So let's get to the heart of whether or not Aaron Rodgers lied to us. Because he was maskless at post game and at press avails, and we were all under the impression that he was vaccinated, and dates back to this question he was asked on August 26th.
Yeah, I've been immunized. There's a lot of conversation around it. There's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys. It'll be interesting to see what happens if we can. If the protocols change at some point.
The direct question he was asked was, have you been vaccinated? He starts with,
yeah, I've been immunized.
Yeah, I've been immunized. Anybody listening to that would say, okay, synonyms or whatever, but he's vaccinated because he started with, yeah.
Well, the yes.
Yeah.
The yes is.
Right.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the answer to that question. No, I haven't been vaccinated.
So now you have the dual things working here, right, Stugotz? You have both of the things happening where this wasn't Kyrie Irving putting his name on some sort of belief system and then taking the slings and arrows. This wasn't even LeBron James, who waited a long time, Stugotz, and kind of talked around it in a way because he didn't want to be out there with the lies, Stugotz. LeBron James didn't want to say the thing that he was being pressured to say, so he just made personal decision, and for a long time, he was the only Laker who was not vaccinated. And to those of you listening who feel very lonely as people who have also chosen the path to not be vaccinated, I know that you hate the judgment and the pressure that rains down from society, from all of us on this. But we've got a situation here that is some of the favorite stuff for sports fans and just human beings. The gotcha, Stugotz, the gotcha on the combination of, oh, wait a minute, you lied to us, and you lied to us about something because it was the more popular and easy thing to do as a State Farm insurance agent, a commercial salesman. Like, did you lie to us? Because I don't even know which one sports fans get more bothered by, selfishness or dishonesty. I really don't know the answer to that.
Listen, there are people who have tested positive who feel like they're immune to it. Like, hey, I don't need to go get the vaccination. I've already tested positive. So, but Aaron doesn't come off as someone who, would take something so seriously, so flippantly, So I'm not certain. I don't know what to do with it.
I'd like to know,
because maybe he felt like he was fine and he was safe, because he had tested positive for it.
I'd like to know what he has to say about this, because I did not know that he had tested positive. You've said that a couple of times now, that he's immunized because he's got the antibodies because he's tested positive.
Well, how else would you?
That has to be what he means. Otherwise, he's lying about that too.
Right. But how else would you go about getting him?
But did you know that I had not heard that he had tested positive and therefore was immunized because he had the antibodies. You've said that a couple of times. That's not something I've read anywhere.
Well, that's what he's suggesting.
Could have caught it during the offseason. You never know.
There's also some reporting now, or I guess some speculation from Jonathan Jones of CBS, that if he is indeed unvaccinated, then he has a backlog of fines for breaking the NFL's COVID-19 protocols because he has been breaking them. In August, Bills receiver and punt returner Isaiah McKenzie was fined $14,650 for repeated violations of the COVID-19 protocols. This guy's got a backlog of fines if he has been saying, I'm vaccinated, and then it turns out that he's not.
I'll also say this, Dan, that both my parents tested positive. My mom passed away, and my father could not get a test, could not get the vaccine, okay, for I think a period of 4 to 6 months because he had tested positive. So the doctor told him, hey, you're better off just waiting. Yeah.
I don't know what team doctors say. I don't know what NFL practice says.
I'm telling you what a real doctor told my dad.
Yeah, and I heard that when the vaccine first came out, I got it right at it's 3 months that you were supposed to wait when they were prioritizing, people with immune disorders and all that, because they do that for a health standpoint too, because you have natural antibodies. Your body's going to fight it off. That's why I had such a difficult time recovering from the vaccine, because I had very strong antibodies having had the thing.
Is it possible, and I don't know how to do this because this was all happening in real time as we were on the air here, but is it possible to wait for an explanation before any kinds of judgments on this? Because I've already done disappointed, and I've talked around were we lied to here, and it feels a little bit dangerous without more information. I'd kind of like to hear from him, to hear what the explanation is.
He's bought that with you? He hasn't bought that with me because he lied. He said, yeah. And if there was a reason behind not being vaccinated, I kind of feel like I'm owed that. I'm not owed jack shit in the eyes of Aaron Rodgers, but you don't say yeah to a direct question about a vaccine. If you're unvaccinated and you feel like you have a good enough reason outside of the free thinker stuff that's been kind of leaking out of you since this season started, I'd like to hear it.
But what's the answer to the question, if I follow you down this path, and it is asked of Aaron Rodgers, Hey, Aaron, why did you tell us you were immunized? Like, what's the answer? Can it be? Will you accept the answer of, well, I got it and I didn't tell anybody. My private life is my private life, and I thought the antibodies were going to protect me?
But there's an NFL thing here too, because it kind of seems like this surprised everybody. And we've all heard from Cole Beasley. We've all seen what the protocols are.
Not you. You were unsurprised initially because you're like, I've heard it in the code of the language that he's using.
No. I was surprised to find out he was unvaccinated because he was asked directly if he was vaccinated. But to find out that he was one of these types that would go unvaccinated, that kind of falls in line with things that he's been saying, given the political beliefs of people who feel strongly about not being vaccinated at the moment. Was he skirting the protocols?
So the more reporting here, Ian Rappaport saying, my understanding is that Aaron Rodgers has been following protocols for unvaccinated players while inside the building. But there's like sideline protocols as well, right? Like you wear masks when you come off the field. Like you see the odd player wearing masks on the sidelines.
Are they going to have a quarterback this week? Because if he's been in meetings with all the other quarterbacks.
If Love is vaccinated.
You think he allows Jordan Love in his meetings?
Contact tracing, if Love is unvaccinated, then he would have a problem. It would be kind of like the Denver Broncos situation.
The Packers playing the Chiefs with no quarterback, with like some tight end or punter who played quarterback in college.
Now there's very clearly
Favre up too.
There's very clearly what you can classify at this point.
Phillip Rivers is about to show up at the Green Bay facility. Him and Cam are going to race. They're going to drag race there.
Did you see what he leaked out there? I haven't heard from the Saints, but I'll listen. No, there's very clearly an outbreak going on in Green Bay, so it's obviously good to be vaccinated. Love could still test positive for this virus, vaccinated or not, but he is more likely, even if he catches it, if he tests negative before the game, he can be cleared.
What's more interesting here? The ripple effects and the permutations of Aaron Rodgers, football player, leader, guy in his last possibly soap opera season with the Packers, undermining the season with this form of leadership that might lead to them having to play Mahomes with no quarterbacks.
Yeah, but playing this year's Mahomes is a little bit different. Yeah.
If there's any season to do it.
Evens it out a bit.
Green Bay's third string quarterback is on the COVID-19 list, by the way.
Or superstar athlete surprising us by being unvaccinated during these times and not doing it the way Kyrie Irving is doing it. And Cole Beasley are doing it. Like how much of this is there in sports? Kirk Cousins
he totally took a totally different path, which is lying to us.
Kirk Cousins caught a lot of heat for putting his name on his beliefs.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron's catching it right now, Dan.
He should.
He's getting crushed.
As he should.
Mm-hmm.
He answered a question, are you vaccinated with yeah.
So
you lied to me, Aaron. Why?
To answer your question, no, we can't wait. I mean,
I'm not. I refuse to. He was asked directly.
I don't want to believe it. If I haven't made that clear, I don't
want to believe it
we
either.
feel your pain, Dan.
This is a very rough day for you and I. We love Aaron Rodgers. And again, we both wanted to see Mahomes versus Rodgers. And it's been ripped away from us. And also, damn it, we let the Chiefs off the hook.
How does this impact his trade value after this season?
Liar on your
is it an option? It's an off-the-field concern, no doubt.
Character issues?
Yeah, character issue. I would lie to you straight to our faces. And he had the nerve to break up his friendship with Ryan Braun?
Man.
Pot kettle.
I love the idea of just ripping him pot kettle on. Liar, how dare you? Right after we've talked about Deshaun Watson. Like the immoral behavior of, do you trade for this character risk paired against the conversations we just had about the Dolphins and Deshaun Watson?
Hot kettle. Ryan Braun, I hope you try to FaceTime Aaron Rodgers right now.
And just laugh at him.
Yeah. Hey, everyone thinks you're a liar. Must be pretty vulnerable. Would be nice to have friends at this moment, wouldn't it? How's the restaurant doing?
What happened with them? This is news to me.
They're done.
You didn't hear the falling out on Ryan Braun and Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Ryan Braun just kind of quietly retired this year out of nowhere.
Yeah, he was a free agent. Nobody wanted him. Yeah. From you.
Hall of Famer?
Why'd they have a falling out?
Borderline.
I think that
He's
ship
not a
sailed.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Stugotz.
Hall of Fame nickname.
No,
numbers.
but Stugotz would like every conversation in his life to end with him being able to ask somebody Hall of Famer. He's done it like
Will this hurt Aaron's Hall of Fame chances?
He did like 4 times
wow.
today. He did,
Wow.
No longer first ballot for me. I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Wow.
You lied to me, and you ripped Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes away from me.
And only one ring, too. Don't forget that.
If we were doing first ballot Hall of Fame for liars, you got Stugotz's bust right at the front, right over the door. But what else? Who
Hall of
else?
Shamer.
Who else are you putting in there? Who else are you putting in the Hall of Fame? I love these first ballot Hall of Fame liars. I think we could fill this room with some quality people.
Nick Saban.
Barry Bonds.
Has it been proven yet on Barry Bonds?
Yeah, the cream, right? Wasn't that him?
He's not first ballot.
Really?
He doesn't get to be.
Yeah,
Wait,
the fall guy.
hold on a second. If we're building out a Hall of Fame of liars, are they getting in based on their performance or on their lies?
Oh, how successful the lies are! This is a good
George
qualifier.
O'Leary.
You're saying-
Quality lies.
So you're saying a Hall of Fame? So which,
George O'Leary is a first
know what?
ballot
Because he was
Hall
a
of
pretty good
Famer.
liar
This
until he
is
got
good.
caught.
This
Yeah,
is good. This is
yeah,
a good distinction you're making.
Also,
here, Billy.
Zodiac Killer.
Who is the Dolphins running back that said he was abducted by aliens and that's why he missed practice?
No, he was
Alfred Oglesby
He
was the
it wasn't
defensive
aliens.
tackle.
He faked a kidnapping,
He
didn't he?
faked Alfred Oglesby was a defensive tackle who faked an abduction. Yes.
The Canseco's.
Lance Armstrong.
But wait a minute. This is something. What the thing that Billy, are you making a different Hall of Fame? Because I don't think Stugotz is welcome in the Hall of Fame you're building, which is good liars.
Well, I mean, if we know they're liars, none of them are good liars.
But you're saying successful or at the art of lying, that they're expert enough. You're not putting bad liars in the Hall of Fame, right?
O.J. Simpson.
Like George O'Leary is a clever liar, right?
Liar.
Did you see O.J. Simpson
you.
was at the Bills Dolphins game?
I did see that. What the
Yeah.
hell was that?
Presumably looking for the killers.
How is George O'Leary a good liar when he didn't coach a game at Notre Dame?
Yeah, but it was a good
Because he was
attempt.
caught lying.
Yeah.
It was a good
terrible
attempt.
Because he coached
He's
games.
trying to
and-
sneak it
because
in on
he
the
coached
resume.
games previous
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. How about Palmero? I mean,
How about Pete Rose?
He put on a performance. Palmero.
Who's
Pete
in
Rose.
Who's in your Hall of Fame, Billy? Who are you putting in this Hall of Fame?
Of
of
liars? I mean,
Who are
be
your
honest.
first ballot? Who are your first ballot Hall of Fame liars? Mike, you got in there awfully quick with Nick Saban.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the Alabama head
yeah,
coach.
that was a good one.
Quit asking.
Mm-hmm.
Tomlin set himself up if he goes to USC.
Yeah.
Oh boy, big time liar.
Hall of
if he
Fame
does
watch.
that. I mean, Braun's in there, right?
Yeah. Oh, that poor piss collector, huh?
Yeah. Sammy Sosa told us he didn't speak English.
Does the piss collector go in the Hall of Fame as well, or would it be in the artifact section, like where you have of this a Liars Hall of Fame, where you have the little the memorabilia items?
Can we put Bobby Petrino in there?
Well, there's got to be a picture of him on the wall in that
because
neck brace for sure.
It wasn't exactly forthcoming with all the details surrounding the.
Bobby Petrino should have naming rights.
I'm thinking stained glass windows with Petrino's the picture of Petrino in a neck brace with scars on his face for sure.
I think Lance was just tossed out there. That's not just a toss out there. That's 10 years of vociferously defending your existence.
Lance is a first
ruining
ballot.
the
Yeah.
life
First
of Floyd
ballot,
Landis.
Yeah.
Poor Floyd Landis.
All right. This is an.
No, but he's in here too. Floyd Landis, poor Floyd Landis.
point.
He's also in this Hall of Fame.
Guys, I don't remember how this finished and how we finally kind of closed the chapter on this. Manti Te'o.
Oh wow.
He
didn't lie.
He was
misled.
lied. He was lied. He was lied
Get
to.
both of them
So it's
in.
two years of
Right.
Sopo?
Lene Kakua. She lied.
Wait, do you have this? Do we get that sound from
I mean, I
ESPN?
can't. No, Drew Kakua is not seeing the light of day. I tried to do like a behind the bit, and I'm like, this makes me feel uncomfortable these days.
But Manti did nothing wrong there. He was lied
No,
to.
both Manti, they're going
his,
together.
No,
They go
his
into-
mistake was falling in love.
No, he kept the myth alive as well.
Danny Almonte.
Pretty good.
I think that both you guys are in agreement that Manti Te'o has to go in with the catfisher.
Maybe-
they have to both go in as a couple.
Maybe
correct?
he doesn't go in, like he doesn't have a bust, but it's like a notable accomplishment. You know, like sometimes there's like a big thing in a game and the Hall of Fame collects it and puts it in the Hall of Fame. Maybe there's something like that for Manti Te'o.
Billy, forgive me. Can everyone else hear the
what is
rumbling
this?
sound?
I don't know
Yeah.
what's going
What's
on.
happening?
Is there
Go to our
what-
private eye, Tony.
is somebody jackhammering on the Clevelander
Could be a
building
window
right
cleaning
now?
day.
Pressure cleaning
Yeah.
our window.
Ethan Hawke dropped down one day. I mean, someone's cleaning the window. Yeah.
Ethan Hunt. Ethan Hawke.
What did I call him?
Ethan Hawke is like an
From
actor.
White Fang?
What I love, it's not just Stugotz going to an incredibly inside joke of one day that there was a window cleaner
Everyone
here,
knows
but
that day.
Everyone knows that day, and everyone knows
That's
what
my
you
other
meant. Everyone knows that you meant Ethan Hawke there.
Fausto Carmona.
You think that's a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Fausto, come
Use
on
a false identity. That's a lie.
Ooh.
Leo
then,
Nunez.
Juan Carlos Oviedo.
Wasn't Olden Polonies, didn't he impersonate a police officer, get arrested for that one time?
How do I not know this story?
You don't know? Go ahead and Google.
I like to think I know all the old Polonies stories.
7'3".
Go ahead and Google Olden Polonies and police.
In Cleveland, I was staying at the same place that Taco Fall was staying at a time, and he put a hoodie on as to be inconspicuous. Taco Fall.
How do you spell Polonies?
Polynice. Let's see what this turns up. Whittingham, can you just read the story? I want you to read the news report on whatever it is that's revealed by the Associated Press on what it is that Olden Polonies specifically got arrested for. If you don't know the story, Mike, he can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer if this is not a story that you have heard before, because it can't be a secret to you. I heard a story the other day, Stugotz. I think Kareem was telling it of Wilt Chamberlain, that Wilt Chamberlain got on an elevator. Somebody asked him, how's the weather up there? And Wilt Chamberlain just spit on the person. And it's a thing that tall people have been doing. Dwayne Shinsis used to do this at the University of Florida because it's weird to grow up that tall. And, you get to be something of an outcast. So what is the Olden Polonies story that I didn't think we'd be ending the show on today?
This is from November of 2000. Utah Jazz center Olden Polonies has been charged with impersonating a police officer and disorderly conduct stemming from a traffic dispute last month in Salt Lake City. West Valley prosecutor John Huber said Friday that Polonies chased another motorist on October the 28th. Polonies told authorities he had been cut off in traffic. The player, who police say flashed a badge at the motorist, refused comment as he left the Delta Center after Friday morning's shoot-around. But Jazz president Dennis Haslam defended Polonies, saying, quote, Polonies' version of the incident affirms that he did nothing wrong, and he is confident that this will be resolved shortly.
Okay, so do we know? It's 20 years later. Do we know what the resolution of that is? Billy, what is happening with Mike and the pipe system around here where you guys are looking around because it seems like the walls are vibrating and that someone is jackhammering on all of the walls?
Unclear. We don't look. We're looking out the windows. We don't know where it's coming from.
I'm gonna go downstairs.
Yeah,
right, we should leave. We should leave.
Ruiz.
We should leave. This doesn't. Thank you. Let's end on that note.